All three of them had spirit beasts that had turned into spirit veins. When they landed on the ground, they let out terrified cries. No! Lin Xian smiled and placed the 4 spirit veins in a square, which could be used as a valley. From now on, all of his experiments could be carried out in this valley. The valley wasn't big, but it was formed by 4 supreme-grade spiritual veins. The soil in the valley should have changed a little. Lin Xian chuckled before turning around to leave. You guys can slowly get used to this place. He turned to Bai Susu and said, Let's go and chase after that fellow. Bai Susu was stunned. What was going on? Where were the 3 spiritual beasts? She was surprised. She couldn't see through the furnace of heaven and earth. Lin Xian smiled mysteriously. They had gone to where they should go. The 2 of them rose into the air and flew into the distance. On the other side, Gu Feng was in a bad situation. His face was dark. Damn Lin Xian! He gritted his teeth at the thought of Lin Xian. He had already defeated Lin Xian, but Lin Xian revealed his identity at the last moment, causing countless people to chase after him. He was a genius of the Gu family. He had mastered spatial powers and cultivated the scripture of the void. He was extremely powerful and should be able to defeat everyone. Unfortunately, none of the people here were weak. They were all top powerhouses of the 3 great orthodoxies and the clan of the ancients. Fortunately, he cultivated the scripture of the void. Otherwise, he would have been defeated long ago. Leave the king of medicine here. At this moment, a cold shout was heard. A figure flew over from afar and turned into a peerless saber. He slashed down with a force that could destroy heaven and earth. The power was so strong that it made Gu Feng's hair stand on end. He thought that Lin Xian had come. However, it wasn't Lin Xian. It was a peerless saber wielder. Gu Feng used the Great Void Shift and dodged the attack. His face turned cold. He was already surrounded by people. The peerless saber wielder in front of him was extremely terrifying. It was Small Saber God. He was here too. Countless people exclaimed. Gu Feng frowned. He had heard of Small Saber God before. He was a peerless saber wielder of the Heavenly Saber Mansion. The other party was given the title of Saber God. One could imagine how terrifying his saber techniques were. Void Exile. He created a terrifying spatial crack and banished himself into a dimensional space. He wanted to leave. Small Saber God shouted angrily and displayed a few sabers. At the same time, another person attacked from the other side. A golden fan made of intertwined feathers burned like the sun. It shrouded the area below. You want to leave? Leave the king of medicine here. A cold voice sounded. Gu Feng's face turned ugly. This person was an expert from the Golden Crow race. Damn it! The weapon he used was refined from the wings of an ancient golden crow. It was extremely powerful. Gu Feng used the Great Void Shift and moved the terrifying flame to the other side. Seal him. He couldn't be allowed to escape. Nailin Yanran also walked out. The orchid behind her froze the area. Orchids were extremely tough. Ordinary orchids could grow on mountains, not to mention such a natural phenomenon. The entire area seemed to be sealed. In addition, the people from the Tao sect and the Heaven sect also came. There were also the clan of the ancients, and the great factions. There were many people. Gu Feng's face darkened. With so many people attacking together, even if he could escape, he would be injured. It was very likely that he would be surrounded by everyone. These people had strong identities and methods. If he took out a few more powerful trump cards, he would be in danger. He looked into the distance and said, Fellow disciples of the Earth sect, help me. Someone from the Earth sect walked over with a smile. Junior brother Gu, we are from the same sect. Naturally, we will help. However, after this, will we share the Herb King? Of course. How can I take such a thing for myself? I will definitely share it with my senior brothers. Gu Feng smiled. However, he gritted his teeth in his heart. Who cares about the oath? He had to get through this first. All right. The people from the Earth sect laughed. They waved their hands and walked over. Everyone, Gu Feng is from the Earth sect. We have already obtained the Herb King. Could it be that you want to snatch it? Cut the crap. Everyone who saw the treasure has a share. Nalin Yanran snorted coldly. The others also had cold expressions. They were going to give away the treasure just like that. They were unwilling. Chapter 48:14. At this moment, someone screamed. Countless people turned their heads in shock. In the next moment, they saw an expert from the Earth sect being beaten into a bloody mist. Who was it? The people from the Earth sect were furious. They saw a figure that looked like a god of war walking over. The power on his body was so terrifying that it brought about a vision of heaven and earth. Yi Wudao! Seeing this, Gu Feng's face turned cold. The others were also shocked. Was he the Yi family's holy body? So strong. On the other side, endless light flashed, and someone roared. Everyone was shocked. What fast speed! Could it be someone from the Light Clan? These were all ancient desolate physiques, after all. It seemed that the Heaven sect had become stronger. Countless ancient families and sects were shocked. Even the people from the Earth sect looked cold. Attack! The man in the lead roared, and then a great battle broke out. Light was extremely fast, and he charged towards Gu Feng. In an instant, he was beside Gu Feng. Gu Feng's pupils shrank. It was indeed fast. It was close to teleportation. But so what if it was fast? Could it be compared to his space mystique? His body turned illusory, and he dodged the attack. Then, he sent out a palm strike. On the other side, Yi Wudao also charged towards an expert. It was an expert from the Earth sect who had been famous for a long time. However, Yi Wudao was also terrifying. A great battle broke out in an instant. It was terrifying. In the void far away, two figures stood, looking into the distance. Bai Susu said. She found it hard to believe that so many experts had come this time. Two of them even possessed the ancient desolate body. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. Old friends? Then, he looked at the experts from the Earth sect and Heaven sect. His eyes were also shining. He looked at Bai Susu and said, Wait here. I'll go and meet them. Are you going to fight? Bai Susu was shocked. Lin Xian nodded. In the next moment, a terrifying flame burst out from his body, illuminating the entire world. He charged forward. The people fighting in the front were stunned. They sensed the arrival of a powerful figure. Who was it? Many people looked over, but they couldn't see the face. All they saw was a golden fire god charging towards them. Boom! He threw a punch at one of the figures. That person tried his best to resist, but he was still sent flying by the punch. A black hole appeared in the sky. Countless people were shocked. How terrifying! Who was it? Who wants to fight me? After Lin Xian arrived, he was incomparably domineering, like a god. Gu Feng's expression was cold. Was this guy here again? His body became dim as he prepared to teleport. Leaf Dao Denir's eyes glittered as he could sense Lin Xian's physique. No one dared to? Lin Xian looked around and stared at a figure. The saber light on that person's body was biting cold. Small Knife God also frowned. His eyes shone with a cold light. Did the other party want to fight him? This was especially so after Shaochun discovered that the other party had the aura of the Heavenly Saber Mansion's blood. You've killed people from the Heavenly Blade sect. He slashed out with his saber. They quickly retreated. Countless people were terrified. Although there were many geniuses here, including those with the ancient desolate body, Dagger God was probably the most terrifying one. Although he didn't have the ancient desolate body, he had been famous for a long time and his saber technique was extremely powerful. If the saber slashed down, the flaming figure would definitely die. What a sharp saber! Lin Xian laughed. This time, he was here to fight to his heart's content. The 9 suns' divine fire on his body condensed into a flaming divine sword. He held it in his hand and slashed forward. With a clang, the saber and sword collided. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Boom! Saber light and sword shadows flashed between heaven and earth. Lin Xian sneered. Show me your full strength. He slashed out again. It was like 9 suns opening the sky. Boom! Dagger God was furious. His eyes shone with a terrifying light as he held the saber with both hands. The peerless saber. He was really angry. Did the other party dare to challenge him? A sky-shattering sound was heard, and the void shattered. The destructive power swept through the 9 heavens. After the attack, a figure was sent flying. Countless people were shocked. Their faces were filled with horror because they realized that it was Dagger God who was sent flying. Dagger God's face was pale, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. Who was this flaming figure? It was unbelievable that he could injure Dagger God. Interesting. Let me try. At this moment, another person walked out. It was the same person from before. The leader was a powerhouse from the Earth sect. He had fought with Yi Wudao before. Now that he saw Lin Xian, he turned around and strode over. With every step he took, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Countless people exclaimed. The Overlord! Was he going to attack too? The Overlord's eyes were filled with a terrifying light. Take my punch. His fist bloomed with an unparalleled light as if it had turned into the fist of the war god. Wherever it passed, the entire world was shattered. The flaming sword in Lin Xian's hand disappeared. At the same time, he clenched his fist and punched out, turning into a golden crow that roared between heaven and earth. With an earth-shaking sound, the 2 fists collided. Then, they each took 3 steps back. Millions of miles below, the mountains and rivers shattered and turned into nothingness. What was going on? Not only was this guy's sword technique powerful, but his physique was also so strong. He could actually fight against the Overlord. One had to know that only Yi Wudao, a sacred physique, could fight against the Overlord. However, the person in front of him did it. What kind of physique did he have? Behind them, Bai Susu was stunned. Wow, this guy was actually so powerful. No wonder he dared to challenge the Dragon Palace. The Path sect would probably not be peaceful in the future. In front, the Overlord was also stunned. In the next moment, an extremely bright light burst out from his eyes. I thought you were a peerless swordsman, but now it seems that your physique is also very powerful. It's not weaker than the Yi family's sacred physique. I don't know where your limit is. I was just being casual just now, but I'm going to be serious now. At this point, he laughed loudly. The mountains in the distance kept shattering. No one could withstand his power. He had the strength to lift mountains and his aura was unparalleled. At this moment, the Overlord was really powerful to the extreme. As one of the 3 great orthodoxies, the Earth sect did not have princes like the Dragon Prince and the Quimping Child. However, the experts in the sect were not weak at all. The Overlord was one of the representatives. He was very terrifying. On the other side, Lin Xian's blood was boiling. He did not expect that other than Yi Wudao, he would meet an expert with such a terrifying physique. This made him very happy. Good, I didn't use my full strength just now. Now let's see if you can make me use my full strength. Lin Xian laughed and waved his fists. The entire sky turned into a sea of fire, forming an endless sun that descended. It was too terrifying. Countless people looked at this scene with shock. This mysterious flaming man was very powerful, far beyond their imagination. They wondered how the battle would end. Who would be stronger? Chapter 48:15. Some people said, "What are you thinking?" Of course, the Overlord was stronger. Didn't you see how Yi Wudao was suppressed in his battle with Yi Wudao? Others said that Yi Wudao was young. Otherwise, his saint physique would definitely be very strong. Humph, the Overlord was also from the Tyrants. Although the Tyrants had never produced a great emperor, they could be called the uncrowned king in terms of strength. Even if Yi Wudao really had a greater mastery saint physique, a greater mastery tyrant physique was definitely not weak. As soon as he said that, everyone nodded. Indeed, in the past, there had been greater mastery saint physiques and greater mastery tyrant physiques. Both sides had won and lost. Now, the Overlord was taking it seriously. The flaming man. He was afraid that he was in danger. The Overlord's fist had the power to split open the sky, making Lin Xian feel the pressure. Lin Xian also shouted wildly. His fists turned into the only thing in the world, and he kept waving them. Every time the two of them collided, his arms would go numb, and his blood would boil. However, his strength was getting stronger and stronger. An expert. Lin Xian admitted that his opponent was definitely a top expert. His blood was boiling. Only by fighting such a terrifying expert could he improve faster. The two of them fought from the sky to the ground, like the earth to the sea. Everywhere they passed, everything turned to ashes. Countless people retreated, their faces filled with fear. The flaming man was too extraordinary. He could exchange more than 1,000 moves without being at a disadvantage. What kind of physique did he have? It must be the legendary physique in the starry sky. Who was it? Sounds of discussion could be heard. At that moment, the Overlord roared angrily. His aura could swallow mountains and rivers. He struck out with a peerless attack. The victor was about to be decided. Lin Xian roared as well, using the 9 yang divine physique to the extreme. Phantoms of 9 suns appeared on his body, surrounding him like a sun god. Fury of the 9 yang. Both palms struck out together, and a sea of fire filled the sky. Countless rays of light intertwined in front of them, and everyone could not open their eyes. They could feel that the power was about to tear them apart. Quickly, defend! Countless people opened their saint domains to defend themselves. Some people who did not have time to escape vomited blood. Some people even turned half of their bodies into a bloody mist. The attack of the two was so terrifying. Damn it, has this guy become so terrifying? In the sky, a dimensional space appeared. Gu Feng's face was cold. 9 suns circling around him was the 9 yang divine body, Lin Xian. Damn it, the other party's growth had exceeded his expectations. Did you see that? The others also cried out in alarm. 9 suns surrounded him. This was the legendary 9 yang divine body. This kind of physique had disappeared for many years. And now, he had appeared on the buried Emperor Star again? The great success of the 9 yang divine body was not weaker than the sacred body, or the Overlord body. No wonder he could compete with the Overlord. Countless cries of surprise rang out. Many people's eyes turned red. The reputation of the legendary physique was not in vain. How is the battle going? Everyone looked over carefully. Amidst the shattered mountains and rivers, a figure retreated, leaving endless cracks in the ground. The Overlord retreated. His clothes were in tatters, and there were even tears in some places. One of his hands was also trembling non-stop. Although he tried his best to control it, it seemed that he could no longer control it. The Overlord's eyes erupted with a cold radiance as he said through clenched teeth. The 9 yang divine body had reappeared in the world. This is truly unexpected. I did not expect you to be able to cultivate the 9 yang divine body to such a level. To think that he could even suppress me. Countless people went into an uproar. Did this mean that the Overlord was at a disadvantage in the previous exchange? This is truly inconceivable. Many shocked gazes looked at Lin Xian. You are very strong. Lin Xian nodded. I can only suppress you with just my physique. Indeed, if he only used the 9 yang divine body to suppress the other party, it would be easy to injure the other party. However, it would not be easy to kill the other party. Of course, if it was a life-and-death battle, it would be different. Lin Xian had many trump cards, so the other party must also have some trump cards. These geniuses could not be underestimated. Therefore, no one would know until the final moment. However, in terms of physique, Lin Xian had won. 9 yang divine body? This is truly unexpected. I will also experience it. Another cold voice sounded. Endless frost condensed in the distance, forming an ice river that hung in the sky. Above the ice river, a figure streaked across at high speed. Then, she stood at the top of the ice river and looked down. The ice wings on her body made everyone freeze. Bing Ling, she is here too? Nalin Yenren frowned. Yu Wudao, the overlord, and the others squinted their eyes. This woman was from the Blue Clan. Her bloodline was extremely terrifying. It was said that she had a great opportunity. When she was training outside, she met a Nirvana Ice Phoenix and obtained the Ice Phoenix Divine Fruit. This made her ice bloodline even more terrifying. Bing Ling waved her hand and endless frost flew over, trying to freeze the world. Illusory suns circled around Lin Xian's body, and boundless divine fire clashed with it. The two of them collided in a silent confrontation. They melted and then froze. This was a bizarre scene, and everyone was dumbfounded. Lin Xian was also surprised. He did not expect the Blue Clan to have such a genius. She was much stronger than Lan Ziyu and Lan Zilu. No wonder the Blue Clan could stand tall in Saint Origin Ancient City and become one of the top clans. Frost soared. In the sky, Bing Ling waved her hand and the frost in the sky turned into a divine sword and fell. Heaven and earth were sealed in ice, and then shattered into pieces. Lin Xian snorted and waved his hand. The 9 yang fire turned into the 9 heavens. Flames danced in the sky and turned into a fire dragon that roared between heaven and earth. The collision between the ice sword and the fire dragon spread out in all directions with them as the center. Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly. Since you want to experience my 9 yang divine body, it is not as simple as just flames. He moved his feet and used the skywalk step. Together with the strength of his physique, he turned into a peerless divine sword. Instantly, he split open the void and rushed forward. Not good. Countless people exclaimed. Bing Ling was in danger. The 9 yang divine body had endless vitality and a terrifying physique. In close combat, Bing Ling did not have the advantage. Lin Xian advanced courageously, crushing everything in his path. Bing Ling roared and froze. She stretched out her hand and slapped forward. In the palm of her hand, a beam of cold light flew out and froze everything. Layers of ice appeared all over Lin Xian's body. There were thousands of layers, freezing him in the air. However, in an instant, those layers of ice shattered. Lin Xian charged forward like the sun again. What a terrifying power! Bing Ling frowned. She tapped her feet and floated backward. At the same time, she waved her hand and a snowstorm gathered in the sky. Once he entered her domain, everything would slow down. As expected, Lin Xian was not as fast as before. However, he still charged forward with an astonishing momentum. Finally, he arrived in front of her and punched. Bing Ling did not panic. Instead, a smile appeared on her face. Ice barrier. She opened her palms and a barrier instantly enveloped Lin Xian. The power of ice inside was much stronger than before. Obviously, she had been waiting for a killer move. Chapter 48:16. She was sealed. Countless people were shocked. It seemed that the ice spirit sect was better. Bing Ling laughed. Looks like you're the one who lost. But in the next moment, she was stunned. She realized that the enchantment was breaking quickly, and a figure was gradually becoming clear. Then, a fist came towards her. Retreat! With a bang, the enchantment was broken, and Bing Ling was pushed back by the punch. Crack, crack, crack! She retreated far away, and then countless cracks appeared on Bing Ling's body. With a crack, she broke into countless ice cubes. Countless people were shocked. She lost? No, it was an ice clone. In another place, Bing Ling's figure appeared. Her face was a little pale. Although she used the ice clone to dodge the fatal blow, but it still hurt her a little. Should she continue? The ice on Lin Xian's body melted. He stood there, shining in all directions like the sun war god. There's no need, Bing Ling said coldly. She felt that the other party was very strong. If she didn't pay a price, she wouldn't be able to defeat him. Moreover, the main target now wasn't Lin Xian, but Gu Feng. The others were also silent. Lin Xian had shown his strong physique and terrifying swordsmanship in 3 attacks. For a moment, no one dared to come forward. Everyone, ignore this kid. Our target is the Medicine King. Bing Ling raised her head and looked at Gu Feng in the distance. There was ice everywhere. The others were also moving. Attack! The battle broke out again. The great conqueror led the people of the Earth sect to fight back crazily. At the same time, he shouted, "Gu Feng, you go first!" Gu Feng gritted his teeth, formed a space tunnel, and disappeared. However, there were many experts here. He was chased all the way and fought with them. It had to be said that Gu Feng was also very strong. Although he had just started cultivating the Void Scripture, he could already display great power. The Great Void Shift and Void Conversion were 2 absolute arts that allowed him to escape every time he was in danger. Surrounded by more than 10 top experts, he still let the other party escape in the end. However, more and more people came later. In the end, dozens of people came. Gu Feng's scalp was numb. No matter how strong he was no match for these dozens of experts. In the end, he exiled himself. At the same time, a mirror appeared on his body, shattering the world, and he escaped. Replica Void Mirror. Countless people gnashed their teeth in anger. This was an imitation of an extreme Dao weapon, and its might was no weaker than a great saint artifact's. Damn it, did he let him escape? They hurried to look for him. Soon, countless people were on the move. Within the vast snowy mountains, a figure appeared. He then spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. Detestable. Gu Feng clenched his teeth. Fortunately, he had a treasure to protect him at the last moment. Otherwise, he would have been in real danger. But soon, he began to laugh proudly. So what if there were dozens of top-notch experts? Didn't he still manage to escape? At this moment, a voice behind him laughed. It seems that you are very happy. Who was it? Gu Feng's hair stood on end. He had already escaped, so how could there still be someone who could catch up to him? He turned around and attacked with a finger in the air. A terrifying sword light came from behind, shattering the void around him. It's you! Gu Feng gritted his teeth. He did not expect it to be Lin Xian again. Beside him was a woman in white. It seemed like he was an expert from the Dao sect. Brat, how did you find this place? Gu Feng was really shocked. It would have been very easy to find him. Did he think that he could hide from everything with his void divine ability? It was useless. Gu Feng gritted his teeth and took out a replica of the void mirror. If I want to leave, you can't stop me, Lin Xian said. I don't want to stop you. I'm just here to take back something. Do you want the Medicine King? Don't think about it. You're dreaming. Lin Xian shook his head. Are you sure that you got the Medicine King? After saying that, Lin Xian waved his hand, and a spirit medicine appeared in his hand. It was surrounded by the great Tao. It was abnormally terrifying. How was that possible? Gu Feng's pupils constricted. That was the Medicine King. Then what did he get? He took out the Medicine King that he had obtained. However, in the next moment, the Medicine King in his hand turned into a little white monkey that made a face at him. Its body flashed and disappeared. When it reappeared, it was already beside Lin Xian. Damn it, it was actually a damn monkey. How was that possible? He knew Little White. It was the monkey by Lin Xian's side. But how could it turn into the Medicine King? How could it fool him? Damn it! Gu Feng roared angrily. He wanted to attack. However, Lin Xian retreated with Little White, and Bai Susu had already flown into the distance. Lin Xian used all his strength and roared, Gu Feng, don't even think about escaping! As he said that, he shot out a bolt of lightning that turned into a lightning dragon that tore through the sky. Quick, don't let them escape. Those people in the distance quickly charged over. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian smiled. He came to Bai Susu's side and summoned the dimensional beast. The two of them gradually disappeared. Damn it, where do you think you're going? Gu Feng shot out a spatial canyon that enveloped Lin Xian and Bai Susu. However, he was still a step too late. The two of them disappeared. In the distance, a few figures came over. It's really Gu Feng. Come quickly! I can't let him escape this time. Gu Feng's expression was ugly. He turned around and disappeared. What followed next was a huge pursuit. Finally, Gu Feng was surrounded by more than 10 people again. This time, Bing Ling personally took out a frost enchantment barrier. This barrier was even more terrifying than the one that sealed Lin Xian in ice. This was because Bing Ling took out the scepter of ice. This was a great sage artifact formed from the bone of an ice phoenix. It was extremely powerful. Damn it, the Medicine King isn't with me. I've been deceived. It's useless for you to look for me again. Gu Feng snorted coldly. Are you kidding me? You've been deceived? Then who has the Medicine King? The Ice Phoenix asked. Lin Xian had the Medicine King. Who was Lin Xian? The others frowned. They had never heard of him. Lin Xian had swept through the Path Sect before, but that was only within the Path Sect. People like Bing Ling and the Overlord had already spread their aura to other sects and families. Lin Xian had not reached that stage yet, so it was normal that these people had not heard of him. It was the flaming figure from before. Gu Feng gritted his teeth. He was the mastermind behind the scenes. It was him. Countless people were shocked. They thought of the flaming figure. The other party was indeed very strong. Was he also a new genius? It was really too shocking. Bing Ling snorted coldly. Stop lying. If he was the mastermind, why didn't you say so at that time? Do you think we're easy to fool? Attack. After a huge battle, Gu Feng was so angry that he vomited blood. He was telling the truth, but he could not explain. Because everyone saw that he had taken the Medicine King. But the Medicine King was fake, and he could not produce any evidence. Small Knife God charged over and slashed out. He said, if you want us to believe you, take out your storage room. We want to search your soul. Impossible! Gu Feng roared. There were many treasures in there, and even his family's secrets. How could he allow others to search? Since that's the case, you're lying. Attack! Those people attacked again. Chapter 48:17. Gu Feng was in a miserable state. He was injured soon after. Especially Bing Ling and Small Knife God. Those two were too terrifying. Damn it. Just you wait. I'll remember this. Gu Feng gritted his teeth. In the next moment, his bloodline burst out. The void mirror replica above his head shone brightly, creating a void passage. Not good. Don't let him escape. Small Knife God roared. Bing Ling also used the ice-bound scepter to the extreme. However, it was useless. Gu Feng's void scripture that he had used to ignite his bloodline had disappeared. Damn it! Everyone shattered the void for millions of miles, but they still couldn't find the other party's figure. He escaped. Bing Ling gritted her teeth. Knife God also frowned. As expected of someone from the monarch race. That was a spatial ability. It was too terrifying. It was easy to injure him, but difficult to kill him. On the other side, Lin Xian and Bai Susu appeared on a plane. Their lips curled up. Lin Xian set up a formation that covered the sky. Then, he took out the Medicine King and split it in half. He gave the upper half to Bai Susu. As for the lower half, he kept it. What should they do next? Bai Susu asked. She was very happy after obtaining the Medicine King. She felt that Lin Xian was very reliable. She suggested that they should make another move and continue searching. Lin Xian shook his head. No, the mission is over. I plan to return. Although there were many spirit veins on the medicine planet, Lin Xian didn't dare to take them. If he took them again, the peerless experts on the medicine planet would make a move. At that time, there might even be sacred masters. It would be very difficult. Therefore, the most important thing was to obtain the world core. Only then could he completely control a world. The power of the entire world would be under his control. He had a world core. It was the Rain clan's Pisces star. However, it was too far away from the buried Emperor star. Lin Xian couldn't go back now. When he returned to the true spirit world to save Xia Jiuyo, he would go to Pisces star. But now, he had to find a new world. All right. Bai Susu nodded in agreement. We tricked Gufeng, that guy. That fellow definitely won't let this matter rest. We better not be surrounded by the Earth Sex people. The two of them prepared to leave. However, a day later they were stopped by someone. A few silhouettes walked out from afar. They were brimming with killing intent. One of the elders' eyes emitted an extremely terrifying radiance as he stared at Lin Xian. It's you. I can feel the blood of the Blue Clan's disciples on you. You've killed people from the Blue race. There was an ancient altar in the old man's hand. It was extremely terrifying. There was a broken jade tablet on it. Clearly, the other party had used a secret technique to look at him. What's going on? Bai Susu frowned. She had no idea what had happened to Lin Xian. Lin Xian said that there were a few people who didn't know what was good for them, and I killed them. They should be here for revenge. Do you need me to do it? Bai Susu asked. Lin Xian said, No need. I don't care about these people. How dare you underestimate us? Attack! The leading elder waved his hand, and 4 experts from the Blue race charged over. They turned into ice dragons and covered the sky. Lin Xian formed a hand seal, and a Taiji diagram appeared in his hand. Slash! The Taiji diagram flew over and turned into a stream of light, splitting the bodies of the two. At the same time, Lin Xian used the skywalk step and charged in front of the other two. With the manruler seal in his left hand and the rock seal in his right, he smashed the two into a bloody mist. In the blink of an eye, the 4 of them died. Damn it! The elder on the other side was furious. Did the 4 people he brought die just like that? They were all peak Grand Sage Kings. They had hopes of becoming great sages in the future. Now that they died, his heart was bleeding. You're courting death. He personally charged over. Be careful. This is a veteran great sage. Behind him, Bai Susu's eyelids twitched. She felt a shocking sense of danger. Lin Xian also frowned. The other party was indeed very strong. He was a veteran great sage. The elder charged over, holding a blue divine sword in his hand. He pointed it at the void, and endless cold light flew out from the blade. The sword pierced the world. With one strike, the entire plane was completely sealed. It even spread further into the distance. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He did not dodge. Instead, he charged over. He activated the 9 suns divine fire to the extreme. It turned into 9 suns that bloomed in the surroundings. The ice near him melted. Then, he slapped the blue divine sword with his palm. With a clang, the divine sword shook. The elder's palm went numb, and the sword almost flew out of his hand. His pupils constricted. What a terrifying physique and strength. He did not expect the person in front of him to be so terrifying. No wonder he could kill so many people from the Blue race. Now, he was certain that the fallen great sage of the Blue race was Lan Mingtian. He was an expert on the Saint Origin ranking. He had the chance to become a great sage or a sacred lord in the future. However, he had actually died. Kill! He roared crazily. The kid in front of him was too terrifying. Since they were enemies, there was no need to keep him alive. Thinking of this, the elder shouted angrily. The coldness in his body exploded. The law of ice wrapped around the divine sword, shaking it continuously. It pierced the sky. Lin Xian used the 9 suns' divine body to fight back. Both sides fought fiercely. He felt a great threat. The elder was indeed a veteran expert. His strength was even more terrifying than the overlord's. The cold ice was even more terrifying than icicles. Let me show you what a real sword technique is. Lin Xian was furious. The 9 suns' divine fire gathered and formed a flaming divine sword. He slashed out with the sword like a fire dragon. Clang! The ice sword and the fire sword collided. The entire sky was shrouded in two different forces. Ice Soul Sword. The sword in the elder's hand burst out with a dazzling light. Obviously, it was not an ordinary weapon. It was a great sage artifact. Kid, I admit that you are very strong. You have the combat strength of a great sage. But your foundation is too weak. Let me show you what kind of strength a true great sage should have. He slashed out with his sword, freezing the divine fire in the sky. Then, the sword swept out, turning into sword shadows that filled the sky. Lin Xian kept retreating. Not good. Bai Susu became nervous. A great sage with a great sage artifact. It was too terrifying. She wanted to go forward and ask for resources, but Lin Xian said that there was no need. He would do it himself. Lin Xian's face was cold. The elder opposite him laughed. Do it yourself? Kid, even with your companion, the two of you are no match for me. What do you have to fight me? Do you know the power of a great sage artifact? As he spoke, he slashed out with his sword again. The flames on Lin Xian's body almost dimmed. Was a great sage artifact that powerful? Lin Xian waved his hand, and the great destruction spear flew out. He grabbed it, and slashed down like a divine sword. With a boom, the frost in the sky shattered. Boundless demonic chi swept across the land. In terms of foundation, you are far inferior. Lin Xian was like a resurrected demon god. He attacked powerfully. Chapter 48:18. You actually have such a trump card? The elder was shocked. His face turned cold. Kill! He roared in anger. Terrifying sword chi swept across the area. He would not give Lin Xian another chance. The biting cold sword chi rushed towards Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian was even more terrifying. Like a demon god, he shattered all the icy sword chi. He charged over and beat the elder until he was forced to retreat. Bai Susu was shocked to see this scene. It seemed that Lin Xian had not used his full strength previously. This guy was too terrifying. He could always shock him. Lin Xian looked ahead and said loudly, You're just SOSO. It seems that you won't be my match even if you live for a few thousand more years. Show me what other trump cards you have. Otherwise, I'll send you to hell. On the other side, the elder's face turned ugly. He was a great sage of the older generation and had a great sage weapon. Even so, he was still not Lin Xian's match? He did not believe that there was such a powerful person in the younger generation. He must get rid of this peerless enemy. A terrifying aura suddenly erupted from his body. Then, the azure ice divine sword in his hand bloomed. The terrifying radiance suddenly enlarged and turned into 1,000 meters long. It slashed down crazily like a heavenly sword, sealing the sky, sealing the earth. Not good. Bai Susu's face changed drastically. She did not expect this elder to use such terrifying power. It seemed that the older generation was indeed the older generation. They could not be underestimated. Die. The elder on the other side laughed sinisterly. His face turned pale instantly. It was obvious that this sword had used up all his strength. However, the power of this sword was incomparably terrifying. Even a great sage of the same level would die without a doubt. Lin Xian's face darkened. It seemed that the older generation was indeed powerful. It would be difficult for the younger generation to block such a killing move. However, it was a pity that the other party met him. He waved his hand. The black heaven-devouring jar appeared. Then, it turned into a huge vortex that swallowed the sky and earth. A black hole appeared in front of him as if it was going to swallow everything. It's useless. You can't block it at all. The elder sneered. His sword slashed down crazily. It could seal everything. This elder was truly overjoyed. He knew that Lin Xian was a top-notch genius. His talent, strength, and trump cards were all very strong. If Lin Xian grew up, he would be a huge threat to their family. However, it would be great if he died here. He had gotten rid of a danger for his family. Furthermore, he had also taken a fancy to the great sage artifact in the other party's hand. Thinking about it, the other party must have other treasures. If that was the case, Yifutian's harvest would be bountiful. It could be said that he had killed many birds with one stone. He was about to be roasted. Damn it! He gritted his teeth and vomited blood, but he didn't dare to fight back. Great desolate heaven-splitting hand! Lin Xian opened and closed his hands. A large crack tore open, directly turning the elder's legs into a bloody mist. Ah! Damn ant, I won't let you off. Just as he finished speaking, the primordial demon mountain descended from the sky. This strike shattered his head, and there was no place on his body that was intact. He was really crazy. He wanted to sweep through thousands of years. When did he get beaten up like this? And by a young man. It was over. Lin Xian's expression was cold, and the power in his body erupted again. The great spear of destruction flew out with an extremely terrifying aura of death. No! The elder was finally terrified. He felt that his life was in danger. He tried his best to dodge, but this strike still tore his body into pieces. Fellow Taoist from the medicine sect, please save my life. The Blue Clan will be eternally grateful. The elder's soul roared crazily. Lin Xian snorted coldly and attacked again. This attack was definitely enough to kill the elder. However, at this moment, a cold shout came from the sky. Such a vicious attack at such a young age. A large hand appeared out of thin air and directly shattered the black dragon sword Qi. Lin Xian also felt like he was struck by lightning. His pupils constricted, and he used the skywalk step to instantly retreat. The place where he originally stood was shattered. Who is so terrifying? Lin Xian was shocked. This attack was completely beyond that of an ordinary great sage. It was definitely not something that an early-stage great sage could do. It was an even more terrifying existence. Bai Susu, who was behind him, was also stunned. Did someone in the mid-stage great sage make a move? This was too terrifying. Ordinary geniuses could fight above their level, but they could only rely on the early-stage great sage. However, it was too difficult to fight against a mid-stage great sage. It was basically impossible. Lin Xian, run! He shouted anxiously. Chapter 48:19. The flaming hand circled in the sky. At the same time, a flaming human face appeared and stared at Lin Xian. He was like a god looking down on the ants of the world. Lin Xian looked like he was facing a great enemy. The elder cheered wildly. He said, "Fellow cultivator, help me kill that kid. The blue race is willing to give you a world." The great sage of fire smiled and said, "Don't worry, the medicine sect has always been cooperating with the blue race. It's not a problem to help you." A strange flame appeared in his eyes as he stared at Lin Xian. The young man below was a genius, but so what? He was much stronger than the elder of the blue race. He was a realm higher than the elder. No matter how talented the other party was, he was no match for him. Moreover, the other party could defeat the great sage of the blue race, which meant that he had many trump cards. He was interested in the other party's weapon and the strange flame on the other party's body. It would be very helpful to him. The great sage thought of many things in an instant. Killing Lin Xian was very beneficial to him. He could also gain the gratitude of the blue race. Why not? Young man, you're too vicious. Let me suppress you. The flaming hand in the sky shone brightly. Lin Xian's face was cold. He snorted. Old thing, do you have the right to lecture me? Previously, he relied on his lifespan of a few thousand years and cultivation base of a great sage to kill me. Wasn't he vicious? You rely on the fact that your cultivation base is much higher than mine to attack a young junior like me. Aren't you vicious? What right do you have to lecture me? What a sharp-tongued kid. However, it was useless to say anything. In the face of absolute strength, everything was futile. The giant hand in the sky fell. Lin Xian, run! Bai Susu shouted angrily. She formed 3 avatars. They attacked together and unleashed a peerless attack. However, they could not block it. Lin Xian snorted. A fierce killing intent appeared in his eyes. So what if the other party was a mid-stage great sage? It was impossible for him to kill him. He activated the heaven-devouring jar with all his strength and formed a terrifying vortex to block the attack. At the same time, he summoned Whitey and infused the power of the great dragon sword spirit into Whitey's body. Go ahead. With the support of the dragon sword spirit, Whitey flew off into the distance and came before the elder of the blue race. The broken body of the elder of the blue tribe was slowly recovering. When he saw that it was a little monkey, he laughed coldly. An ant dares to fight against me? An extremely terrifying soul-killing intent burst out from his eyes. He turned into a soul sword and charged toward Whitey. The dragon-shaped sword energy on Whitey's body destroyed everything. At the same time, he took out a purple gourd. The power of the great dragon sword spirit that Lin Xian had given him had all entered the purple gourd. Oh, baby, please turn around. Whitey's voice resounded in the air as a purple flying sword flew out of the gourd. With the power of the great dragon sword spirit, it seemed to have transformed into a purple dragon that instantly pierced through everything. Puff! Heaven and earth froze at this moment. The soul of the elder of the blue clan stopped in midair and gradually extinguished. This was impossible. He couldn't believe that he would be killed by a monkey. Damn it, how dare you! The great sage of flame roared. Another flaming palm scratched Whitey. Whitey quickly retreated. Where are you going? He stared at the purple gourd with bloodshot eyes. To be able to destroy the soul of a great sage in one move, this gourd was definitely a heaven-defying treasure. It might even be the legendary item. He had to get it. Whitey returned to Lin Xian's side and slapped two large palms toward Lin Xian. The boundless vortex was also constantly being shattered. Although the heaven-devouring jar was half an extreme weapon, it was related to the strength of the user. The strength of the old man in front of him was too terrifying. Even the heaven-devouring jar could only protect itself. Lin Xian retreated with a pale face. He gritted his teeth and said, Old man, tell me your name. I'll kill you one day. You! The old man in the sky sneered. Gradually, he condensed into a figure. Remember, I'm the great sage of flame. When you go to hell, don't tell me the wrong name. After saying that, he laughed sinisterly and slapped his palms again. Medicine sect, great sage of flame. I'll remember you. One day, I'll let you go to the 18 levels of hell. After saying that, a void beast appeared beside Lin Xian. It condensed into a space channel and disappeared in an instant. The large flaming hand fell, shattering heaven and earth. However, he was long gone. Space transmission? You can't escape! The great sage of flame roared angrily. The boundless law of fire condensed and charged toward the distance. Blazing red lotus. The law of fire in the sky condensed into countless flaming lotuses. They opened up between heaven and earth. The void shattered, and even the spatial passageway that Lin Xian had created cracked. One could only imagine how terrifying the other party was. What should I do? Bai Susu, who was next to him, also had an ugly expression. Lin Xian said, Protect me. He used all his strength, summoned the great dragon sword soul, and slashed toward the sky. The blazing red lotus in the sky shattered like a mirror and scattered on the ground. How is that possible? The great sage of flame was stunned. Does the other party still have a trump card to contend with me? When he wanted to chase after him, he found that the other party had already disappeared. Detestable brat, I won't let you escape from the medicine planet. He was prepared to mobilize the power of the medicine sect to search for him, and even seal the entire star realm. Buzz! In the starry sky, a few figures appeared. It was Lin Xian and the others. Bai Susu looked at the stars in the sky in surprise. Did he leave? She couldn't believe it. To be honest, she had already prepared for the worst. Even if she was captured by the other party, she would risk her life to protect Lin Xian. Because her parents' identities were not ordinary, the other party would definitely give them face. However, before she could do anything, Lin Xian had already left. She was surprised. What was that attack just now? Could it block the blazing red lotus that filled the sky? On the other side, his face was pale. He took out a 10,000-year-old spirit herb and swallowed it. He said, "Let's go." They entered the black earth and flew quickly. Bai Susu's heart ached. "That was a 10,000-year-old spirit herb, and you just ate it like that," Lin Xian said. "So what? It's a dead elder of the blue tribe anyway. It's a waste not to eat it." When Little White killed the elder's soul, it also took the elder's storage ring. It was a pity that the great sage weapon had a spirit and flew away. Otherwise, they would have another great sage weapon. Xiao Bai nodded too. She took out more spiritual fruits from the elder's storage ring and started eating them. It was very happy. Bai Susu's heart ached even more. "This little monkey is eating too extravagantly. Even I don't have such treatment." But Little White was too cute. She looked at Little White and smiled. "Little guy, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. You've done a great job this time." Little White's eyes narrowed into crescents. It stretched out its little paw. "I'm good. Give me some spirit fruits." Bai Susu was so angry that she found it funny. "All right, I'll give it all to you." They heaved a sigh of relief. However, they didn't know that in the starry sky not far from them, there was another spirit ship flying quickly. Chapter 48:20. Inside the spirit boat. Gu Feng's face was cold, and there was still blood on his body. He gritted his teeth and said, "The king medicine I got is fake. The real one is with Lin Xian. I swear it on the honor of my family." Beside him were the experts of the Earth sect, and the Overlord was there as well. Their faces were cold and gloomy. The conqueror's brows furrowed tightly. "You're saying that the flaming figure I fought with was Lin Xian?" "That's right, it was him." Gu Feng gritted his teeth. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. According to Gu Feng, Lin Xian and Gu Feng were of the same age. Compared to the tyrant and the others, he was a little smaller. Such a person was a little too heaven-defying. Was the 9-yang divine body already so terrifying? Gu Feng gritted his teeth and said, "Not only did he have the 9-yang divine body, but he also had many fortuitous encounters. He was also the descendant of the great dragon, and his fighting strength was unparalleled." The legendary great dragon sword? Everyone from the Earth sect sucked in a breath of cold air, and even the Overlord's eyes shone with a cold light. No wonder. No wonder he was suppressed in the competition. Once he became the successor of the great dragon, his every move would be imbued with unparalleled combat prowess. Interesting. I'll remember this Lin Xian. However, so what if he's the successor of the great dragon and the successor of the 9 sons? The prodigies of the tyrants swept through everything. He has a lot of trump cards. But after my cultivation grows stronger, if the gap in our cultivation continues to widen, suppressing him won't be a problem at all. Other than comparing their talents and trump cards, these geniuses were also comparing their cultivation speed. Once they were able to break through a cultivation state, they would be able to stand above all the other geniuses. It was even possible that he could completely trample the others under his feet. "All right, since you're so heavily injured this time, you should hurry up and recover." The Overlord looked at Gu Feng, his eyes flickering. Although they were from the same sect, he was still secretly on guard against Gu Feng. After all, the other party was from the Earth sect and had cultivated an imperial scripture. Once the other party was given the opportunity to grow, it was very likely that the other party would surpass him. Gu Feng swallowed the medicinal pill as he prepared to enter seclusion to cultivate. However, he suddenly turned cold and looked at the starry sky outside. "What's wrong?" The tyrant was puzzled. Gu Feng said that there was a spirit boat up ahead, so let's go and take a look. I keep feeling that it's somewhat familiar. With a wave of the Overlord's hand, the spirit boat changed its direction and accelerated. When they got closer, Gu Feng suddenly stood up and said, "That spirit boat belonged to Lin Xian. They are also on their way back. Catch them quickly." The crowd was in an uproar. The tyrant looked forward, his eyes emitting a cold radiance. Are you sure? Gu Feng nodded. He couldn't be wrong. He had met Lin Xian more than once or twice, so he was very familiar with Lin Xian's trump cards and the weapons he often used. That spirit boat belonged to the other party. Interesting, I can make my move now. The Overlord's eyes lit up, and the other's eyes turned red as well. In this vast universe, if he were to kill the other party and steal the other party's treasures, the people of the Dao sect would probably not know about it. These people moved out quickly. In the spirit boat ahead, Lin Xian frowned. He abruptly looked behind him. Someone was catching up. Run! He sped up the black earth. Bai Susu wondered if they were from the medicine sect. Or were they from the earth sect? He also looked carefully. Then, he said that it was the Overlord's spirit boat. They were from the earth sect. The two parties, one in front and one behind, started a chase in the universe. At the back, Gu Feng gritted his teeth. Oh no, we were discovered. The Overlord said, so what if we were discovered? Attack! The spirit boat emitted a terrifying radiance, turning into a divine sword and moving forward. The array on the black earth flickered as it continuously traveled through space. The two of them chased one after the other. At the back, Gu Feng gritted his teeth, took out a few 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs, and ate them. He said, Everyone, I'm going to use my spatial mystique to travel through space with you. However, my power is limited. When I get close, I'll need you to attack. The Overlord nodded. Let's move then. The spatial aura on Gu Feng's body became more and more terrifying. He directly shattered the void, forming a spatial tunnel, and charged forward. In an instant, he was near the black earth. The Overlord and the others reached out and grabbed. The black earth shook, and Bai Susu's expression changed. She waved her hand, and a small umbrella flew out from between her eyebrows. The power of wind and thunder surrounded it. The wind and thunder umbrella flew out of the black earth and continued to expand, enveloping a part of the world to block the palm of the Overlord and the others. Lin Xian was surprised. This wind and thunder umbrella was not ordinary. It was actually a great sage artifact. It seemed that Bai Susu's identity was more terrifying than he had imagined. However, at this moment, other than the Overlord, there were also many experts from the Earth sect. Even if Bai Susu used a great sage artifact, she would not be able to withstand it. Moreover, those people would probably use their great sage artifacts soon. Gu Feng and the Overlord definitely had them. As expected, the void mirror flew out and fought against the wind and thunder umbrella. The wind and thunder umbrella seemed to be frozen. The power of wind and thunder on it directly shattered the void, and the two fought against each other. On the Overlord's side, a huge cauldron appeared. It seemed to have turned into a sky and pressed down. It was also a great sage artifact. It seemed that it wanted to completely suppress the black earth. At the critical moment, Lin Xian took out the heaven-devouring jar and created an endless black vortex to block the heaven transformation cauldron. Moreover, the heaven-devouring jar became more and more terrifying. The black vortex completely turned into a black hole. Damn it, what is this thing? It actually blocked my heaven transformation cauldron. The Overlord was surprised. Gu Feng, who was beside him, also gritted his teeth. He wanted to use a divine ability, but he spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it. Previously, he was besieged by so many experts and was seriously injured. However, the black hole in front of him was boundlessly terrifying. It cut off the world. Finally, the black earth disappeared. Behind, the Overlord and the others gritted their teeth and continued to search. Great. Bai Susu heaved a sigh of relief. Then, she took out the formation. Our void gate is nearby. Entering the void gate and teleporting back to Holy Abyss City should be much easier. Next, they used the formation to communicate with the starry sky coordinates in the universe. A spatial gate opened. The black earth began to teleport. Then it disappeared. Not long after, the Overlord and the others also opened the spatial gate and disappeared. When the two spirit ships appeared, They had already arrived at Holy Abyss City and were still chasing. Bai Susu gritted her teeth. Damn it, these guys are too arrogant. They're already back and they still won't give up. But fortunately, Lin Xian and she both had trump cards, so the other party couldn't do anything. When they arrived at the Dao sect, Bai Susu sneered. Then, she flew out and shouted coldly. People of the Earth sect, you're too arrogant. Do you want to attack us? Do you really think the Dao sect is just a decoration? Her voice traveled into the Dao sect. The people in the Dao sect were shocked. Someone dares to attack the people of the Dao sect. And it's the people of the Earth sect. What's the meaning of this? Are they trying to turn the world upside down? In an instant, countless figures rushed out of the Dao sect. Chapter 48-21. It's Senior Sister Bai. Senior Sister Bai is back. Senior Sister Bai is being hunted down by the Earth sect. Damn it! Those people rushed over and stared at the spirit boat. The Overlord frowned. Gu Feng gritted his teeth. Damn it, we were so close. Can we make a move? Who is that woman? He stared at Bai Susu. If there's no other way, I'll kill her. The Overlord shook his head. Don't touch her. If you dare to hurt her in front of the True Path sect, you'll die a horrible death. Her name is Bai Susu. Her parents are both great sages and elders of the sect. They live in the core region. If you kill her, you'll be challenging the True Path sect's authority. The Overlord shook his head. Then, he walked out and said, You're lucky this time. You won't be so lucky the next time we meet. Let's go. He turned around and left on the spirit boat. Bai Susu heaved a sigh of relief. With this king herb, her strength will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. The next time they meet, it's hard to say who will be the unlucky one. She looked at the people behind her and said, Thank you, senior brothers and junior brothers, for your help. Now that the danger is over, everyone can go back. With that, she entered the spirit boat with a smile. Let's go, kid. Lin Xian controlled the spirit boat and flew in. Everyone thought that it was Bai Susu's spirit boat. They didn't know that the person inside was Lin Xian. Otherwise, it would cause another uproar. In fact, the people from the Dragon Palace might even come and attack. When they arrived above the spiritual abode, Bai Susu walked out and said, All right, I have to go back and cultivate. Let's work together next time. Susu waved her hand and was about to leave. But soon she flew back. All right, I forgot to ask you. I plan to use this king herb with other spirit herbs to make a cauldron of pills. Of course, I won't do it myself. I'll let my parents do it together. They're both great sages. Do you need it? If you need it, I'll take your share with you. When the time comes, I'll refine the pill and send it to you. As for the fee, there's no need. This time, it's all thanks to you that I was able to obtain half a stalk of the king herb. Lin Xian was surprised. He didn't expect her parents to be great sages. Moreover, it seemed that they were most likely from the Dao sect. This little girl's identity was really not ordinary. He smiled and said, There's no need. I don't want to use this king medicine to refine pills for the time being. However, if I need it, I won't be polite. Also, are you interested in joining the Divine Palace? If Lin Xian's guess was right, the other party's parents could very well be elders. If they were to add the other party into their lineup, they would definitely be able to deal with the other party. In that case, it was equivalent to them gaining an elder-level backer. This was extremely beneficial for the three of them to develop in the Dao sect. The spirit sparrow gritted its teeth. It wanted to eat the herb king. Lin Xian didn't care. He had set up a formation around the herb king. Once it was attacked, he would know immediately. He said, The four of you have worked hard. If you cooperate with me, I will help you recover one day. Otherwise, don't blame me for destroying your souls. The four spirit beasts stopped talking and fell silent. With his methods, it would be easy for him to destroy them now. After all, they had no power. Seeing that the four of them had fallen silent, Lin Xian smiled. Stay here. Oh right, I'll give your valley a name. It'll be called the Four-Spirit Mountain. Lin Xian left the valley and began to cultivate outside the valley. There was 100 times more pressure here. Whether it was training his physique or cultivating the heavenly walk step, they were all very effective. Just like that, Lin Xian began to cultivate again. When he was resting, he took out many storage rings and began to organize his spoils of war. This time, he had gained a lot from his trip to Medicine Star. In addition to the Herb King, Lin Xian also obtained many spirit herbs. There were many 10,000-year-old spirit herbs. In addition, he also obtained the storage rings of some experts and supreme sages that he had killed. There were also many natural treasures inside. Lin Xian organized them all. Chapter 48-22. The Blue Clan. The atmosphere was unusually cold. They had suffered heavy losses on this trip to the Medicine Star. Not only had many young geniuses died, but even a few great saints had died. One of them was Lan Ningtian, an expert on the honor roll. The people of the Blue Clan were mad with anger. Who was the culprit? They weren't doing well in Holy Abyss City either. The death of Lan Zilu from the True Path sect had also made them look gloomy. Lan Ji returned to her clan and asked them to send experts to assassinate Lin Xian. She had to avenge her brother. However, the Blue Clan frowned. That kid is from the True Path sect. We can't go there. Unless you lure him out, then we can make a move. I understand. Lan Ji nodded. She could only do it outside the True Path sect. She prepared to leave. When she left, she saw Bing Ling return. Bing Ling looked down at Lan Jiu and said coldly, I heard that your useless brother died. What a joke. You're a disgrace to the clan. What did you say? Lan Jiu roared. Her eyes were red. Bing Ling glanced at her and said coldly, I heard that the one who did it was a newcomer like you. Don't you think that you and your sister's talents are a little too lacking? Damn it! Lan Jiu gritted her teeth. She stared at Bing Ling and said, I'll prove it to you. One day I'll surpass you. I'll be the strongest in the clan. What a joke. Ignorant ant. Bing Ling shook her head and left, ignoring her. Compared to her? They were too far apart. If the other party had the ancient body, it might be possible. Lan Jiu's talent was strong, but it wasn't as good as hers. So Bing Ling didn't care. Lan Jiu, on the other hand, left with a dejected expression. She couldn't compare to Bing Ling in the clan. It seemed that she could only ask for help from the True Path sect. The Dragon Prince. She thought of someone. He had the ancient body and was also the son of the Dragon Sea Lord. He was also one of the leaders of the Dragon Palace. If he could walk to the other party's side, then the resources and power he would obtain would be unimaginable. Thinking of this, Lan Jiu gritted her teeth and went to find her father to discuss. Her father was a middle-aged man. His face was cold. He said that our bloodline will fully support you. This is a world core, and I'll give it to you now. You can use the resources inside to find connections in the Dragon Palace. If we can get the Dragon Crown Prince's support, all our efforts will be rewarded. Lan Jiu obtained the realm core and left. She swore that she would definitely kill Lin Xian. Lin Xian didn't know about these things. Even if he did, he wouldn't care. Not to mention Lan Jiu, the entire Dragon Palace was his target. When the time came, he would trample everything under his feet. The blue race was no exception. When he came out of the mysterious world, he realized that it had been almost 2 months. This made him cry out in alarm. Oh no, it was too late. He remembered that he had an agreement with the Fire Dragon Lady to have her wait in the Sacred Abyss Tower for a month. I wonder if he's still around? Lin Xian hurried to the mission hall and took out 3 10,000-year-old herbs to complete the mission. This way, when the time came to refine the pills, he would get a third of it. Then, he hurriedly left the Tao sect and went to the Sacred Abyss Tower. There weren't many people in the Sacred Abyss Tower, but there was a fiery red figure nearby. It was a woman with shocking flames and a terrifying bloodline. The passers-by all looked over. Was this a new challenger? But what was surprising was that this fiery woman never seemed to enter the sacred abyss tower. Every day, she would only stand outside the sacred abyss tower for a period of time before leaving. Just like that, it had been more than half a month. No one knew who she was waiting for. This figure was naturally the Fire Dragon Lady. After the Fire Dragon Lady left the Medicine Star, she came with a World Star as promised. However, it had been almost 2 months, and she still hadn't seen Lin Xian. This surprised her. Did he forget? Impossible. It was such an important matter. There was another possibility, which was that he had fallen in the Medicine Star. Thinking of this possibility, she was even more shocked. She knew how terrifying he was. Who could make such a person fall? Could it be that a terrifying veteran great saint had made a move? She didn't know. She decided to wait for another half a month. After half a month, if the other party still didn't appear, she would leave. You're waiting here every day? At least you keep your word. At this moment, a faint voice came from behind her. The Fire Dragon Lady's hair stood on end. This familiar voice belonged to the other party. The other party had come. She turned around and saw a man in a black robe walking over with a smile. It's you! The Fire Dragon Lady was shocked. Lin Xian smiled. You were waiting for me. Why are you so surprised? You didn't think that I had fallen after waiting for so long, right? The Fire Dragon Lady's face turned pale. She felt that her thoughts had been seen through in an instant. She quickly shook her head. How could that be? I was just surprised. Why did you come so late? You don't need to know. Lin Xian asked. Did you bring the thing? The Fire Dragon Lady nodded. She took out a treasure box and handed it to Lin Xian. Lin Xian opened it and found that it was a world core. He asked, Which world is it from? It shouldn't be too far from the buried Emperor Star, right? The Fire Dragon Lady said. It's not far. If I fly at the speed of a great sage, I can reach it in 10 days. Since we don't have much time, come with me. Lin Xian waved his hand and enveloped the Fire Dragon Lady. The two of them rose into the air and left the buried Emperor Star. They entered the Black Earth ship and started to fly at full speed. The Fire Dragon Lady was very nervous. After all, Lin Xian had easily killed a great sage. How could she not be worried when she was with such a person? But fortunately, after a few days, she found that Lin Xian's life was very simple. Other than cultivation, it was cultivation. No wonder he was so strong. He was already so heaven-defying, but he didn't give up on every moment of cultivation. Thinking of this, she took a deep breath and sat down cross-legged. She began to cultivate. 10 days later, Lin Xian opened his eyes. He looked at the flame planet outside. His eyes flickered. It should be here. That's right, this was the Dragon Flame planet. The flames on it were very terrifying. There were some precious metal veins, god crystals, spirit veins, and so on. It wasn't suitable for humans or beasts to live in. Are you satisfied? Lin Xian landed. Feeling the terrifying flames around him, the corners of his mouth curled up. He was very satisfied. If there were martial artists and beasts living here, he wouldn't know what to do. But if there were only resources, it couldn't be better. After circling around this world, Lin Xian nodded in satisfaction. He wondered what would happen if he absorbed the power of this world into the mysterious world. He was looking forward to it. Chapter 48-23. Next, Lin Xian let Fire Dragon Girl leave. He stayed in this world alone. Lin Xian felt that he had perfect control of the Dragon Flame world after fusing with the world core. In the next moment, he sat cross-legged on the ground and opened the mysterious sword world. Boom! This time, he wanted to completely fuse the Dragon Flame world with the sword world. The Dragon Flame world shook violently, and cracks appeared in the surrounding space. The sword world was extremely calm, but the sky suddenly darkened. For Spirit Valley, the 4 spirit veins were shocked. They raised their heads and exclaimed, "What happened? Was the sky falling and the earth splitting? Haha, that's great. We can use this opportunity to leave." They were incomparably happy. However, not long after, they realized that it was not the case. A huge force was still acting on their surroundings. They could not escape at all. The black shadow in the sky shocked them. They saw that it seemed to be a world pressing down from the sky. No way, what was that kid doing? Could it be that he swallowed a world? Boom! The entire process was very slow. In the end, there was no way to continue. Lin Xian was surprised. It seemed that it was impossible for him to swallow a world with his current strength. He took a deep breath and took out the heaven-swallowing jar. He wanted to borrow the power of an extreme weapon. The heaven-swallowing jar could even swallow heaven and earth. Swallowing a world was not a problem. As expected, the heaven-swallowing jar kept growing. Lin Xian controlled it with all his strength. This time, the dragon flame world was slowly swallowed up. But even so, it still took nearly a year. For the past year, Lin Xian had been controlling the heaven-swallowing jar to swallow the dragon flame world. The dragon flame world was swallowed and then entered the mysterious world. The entire dragon flame world was incomparably red. It turned into a flaming star that hung above the 9 heavens. The aura that fell down scattered all over the earth. Of course, Lin Xian was only targeting the vicinity of the 4 Spirit Valley. Therefore, the 4 spirit veins instantly felt a powerful force coming from the sky. Everything became different. Damn, is this a star? He really refined a world into a star. This kid is crazy. What is he trying to do? Standing on the buried Emperor Star and looking up at the stars in the sky, those stars were one world after another. However, they were all based on the universe. Now, this guy had placed all the worlds in a mysterious world. Is he trying to create a new universe? Who cares? Anyway, we can absorb the power that falls down formed from the flames. The 4 spirit veins were happy. But compared to this mysterious world, they absorbed a pitiful amount. Most of the power was absorbed by the mysterious sword world. Below the valley, the pill, the Medicine King's great Tao technique became even brighter. Even the upper half of his body that had been cut off began to regrow. Lin Xian was overjoyed when he came in. Next, his goal was to collect other worlds. If there was a day when he could completely restore the vitality of this mysterious world, then it would be of great use to him. Based on the current situation, it wouldn't take long for the Pill King to recover. Then, he would swallow the Pill King and see if he could break through. Lin Xian needed too much power. Even after such a long period of cultivation, he was still unable to break through. Logically speaking, even with the Pill King, he might not be able to break through. However, it would be different if the Pill King was grown in the mysterious world. It has been more than a year. I wonder how the Dao sect is doing? Lin Xian walked out of the sword world and returned to the buried Emperor Star. When he arrived at the Dao sect, he discovered that there were more people in the Dao sect. Clearly, the test this time had begun. A few more geniuses had entered. Among them, he discovered 2 familiar faces. Dan Feng, Mortal Star. The 2 of them had indeed come from Taiqing Ancient City. Lin Xian was happy. Not only were the 2 of them strong, but they were also top alchemists. In the future, they could become the Divine Union's exclusive alchemists. This way, the strength of the Divine Union's members would increase even faster. There were more people in the Divine Union now. After all, Lin Xian had fought a great battle and even killed the Dragon Prince's clone embodiment. This had shocked countless people. Therefore, some people had joined. However, there were only about 20 people in total. This was much less than expected. After all, the Dragon Palace was still a huge entity. Whoever dared to join the Divine Union would be challenging the Dragon Palace. Furthermore, these 20 people had different motives. Some were curious. Some wanted to obtain the Divine Union's support and resources. There were even some spies who had joined. They were probably spies sent by the Dragon Palace. Indeed, someone had come to cause trouble on this day. He said coldly, "We are the first batch to join the Dragon Palace. You should give us a lot of resources. Why don't you give us more now?" The person who had spoken was a man carrying a spear on his back. His eyes were piercingly cold. He said, "Aren't the two leaders very powerful? One of them claimed to be a genius of the dragon race, while the other was a heaven-defying powerhouse. The two of you have mastered so many mystic abilities. Why don't you give us some?" That was right. The other person had also arrived. He was carrying a huge axe on his back. Clearly, he was a strength-type powerhouse. Hand over the mystic abilities of the dragon race. If we are powerful, the divine union will be powerful too. Damn it! Were these people crazy? What wishful thinking! Nalan Liang gritted his teeth. Hong Yi, Lu Yuan, and the others also had cold looks on their faces. The Crimson Dragon walked out and sneered. "You want my mystic abilities? What have you done for the divine union? We are also top-notch geniuses. Is this how the divine union treats geniuses?" The two of them sneered and then looked at the other 10 people. "I think we should leave. There is no future in the divine union." "That's right. We might as well join the Dragon Palace. Even the lowest level of the Dragon Palace is better than here." "Damn it!" Lu Yuan and the others gritted their teeth. The Crimson Dragon also had a cold look on his face. It was obvious that the people from the Dragon Palace were here to cause trouble. "Do you believe that I will slap you to death?" The toad jumped out. The two of them sneered. "Why? Does the Divine Union want to suppress us by force? It seems like we can't stay in the Divine Union anymore." The Crimson Dragon and the others' faces changed when they heard this. What should they do? These people were very anxious. If the first batch of people left, who would come to the Divine Union in the future? At this moment, Lin Xian walked over and said to the two of them, "How dare the two of you call yourselves top-notch geniuses? What a joke. Even if you want to stay in the Divine Union, I don't want you." "Scram! What did you say? Do you dare to question our strength?" The two of them were furious. They looked at the people around them and said, "Did you see that? This is how the Divine Union treats geniuses. Do you think there is a need to stay here?" Chapter 48-24. The surrounding people were also in an uproar as they discussed. If the Divine Union did not value them, what was the point of them being here? Lin Xian snorted coldly. The Divine Union naturally needs geniuses. However, the two of you are just trash. How dare you call us trash? The two of them were furious. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Why? Do you want to fight me? The two of them narrowed their eyes. The man with the giant axe on his back said, "We all know how strong you are. It's impossible for everyone to be on par with you." The man with the long spear on his back also said, "That's right, could it be that you want to use your power to bully others?" Lin Xian smiled. "Why? Are you afraid? Don't worry, the two of you are not worthy of me taking action. Don't you call yourselves geniuses? I don't think you are even ants. I don't need to take action. I can find 2 newcomers who have just joined the Path sect to deal with you. Are you looking down on us?" The two of them were furious. Lin Xian waved his hand and sent a message to the people in the mansion. Not long after, 2 figures walked out. It was Dan Feng and Fan Xing. Some of you should know these two. They are newcomers who have just passed the test. Indeed, someone in the crowd nodded. I have heard of these two. They have shown extraordinary strength. They are indeed newcomers. In front, the man with the huge axe said, "You want 2 newcomers to fight me? What kind of joke was this?" They felt that they had been underestimated. The powerhouse with the long spear said, "We will be merciless. Although we won't take their lives, it won't be a problem to make them lie in bed for 8 to 10 years. Are you sure you want to take action?" Dan Feng walked out and said, "Cut the crap. Let's see who will lie in bed for 8 to 10 years. She waved her hand and charged towards the man with the long spear. Since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. The man snorted and his spear shot out like a dragon. However, the red phoenix's palm turned into a furnace that suppressed the heavens and the earth and burned everything. It directly suppressed the long spear. The heat from the long spear caused the man's palm to burn and turn into a bloody mist. Damn it, how could this be? This flame? The powerhouse's face turned ugly. The red phoenix palm formed a seal once more and slapped a palm onto the furnace. Clang! The divine furnace opened, and the fire laws danced in the air like a volcano, enveloping the world. In front of him, the man roared madly. His entire body was melting. Stop, I admit defeat. Dan Fong snorted coldly and sent him flying with a palm strike. Top genius? How laughable! Her voice shocked countless people. Was this really a prodigy who had just entered? It was too terrifying. Or was it that the spear-wielding man was too weak? At this moment, Fan Xing walked over and stared at the man with the giant axe. Let's do it! The man with the giant axe had a gloomy expression on his face, but he knew that there was no way he could retreat under the gazes of more than 10 people. He would fight with his honor. Kill! He gripped the axe with both hands and chopped down with all his might. Within the manor, endless storms were torn apart. The entire world shook. Inside the divine dwellings, there were countless formations that protected everyone's lives. Otherwise, someone would have been seriously injured by this attack. The axe was capable of splitting the heavens and splitting the earth. It contained the power of shocking thunder. The expressions of the two types of people changed. It had to be said that the other party was really strong. The others also started to worry for Fan Xing. In the face of this attack, Fan Xing's expression was calm. His palms glowed as he kept forming seals. Countless stars were condensed into a furnace. The sky instantly darkened as if stars were flickering. Then they fell. Every single one of them was like lightning. The laws on them were very terrifying, piercing through heaven and earth. Boom, boom! A streak of star fire landed on the giant axe and was split apart by the giant axe with a deafening sound. However, there were too many star fire. There were at least 10 million souls. In the end, the giant axe was drowned. This giant axe was a terrifying sacred artifact, but at this moment, it was burning and melting. The burly man was pierced by the star fire, and more than 10 wounds appeared on his body. He vomited blood and flew backward. Fan Xing retracted his palm, and the star fire that filled the sky disappeared. He said, You're just SOSO. I don't think you're qualified to join the divine dwellings. The surrounding people were shocked. Was the battle over so quickly? These two people were also powerhouses who had joined for several years. Their strength was terrifying, but were they really unable to defeat two newcomers who had just entered? The toad jumped out and laughed loudly. Did you see that? You two ants, do you think you're qualified to come here? Go back and tell your master that if he dares to send more spies, I'll destroy you. The two of them ran away like stray dogs. Lu Yuan and the others laughed loudly. The others were shocked. Spies? Could these two people have been sent by the Dragon Palace? A few of them narrowed their eyes. Had their identities been discovered? Lin Xian stood up and looked at the remaining people. If they wanted to join the Divine Union, they had to at least have the strength and talent of these two newcomers. Furthermore, although the Divine Union did not restrict them, they had to be loyal once they joined. Those who dared to betray the Divine Union would be killed without mercy. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous and filled with killing intent. Everyone felt as if their souls were about to split apart, and many of them broke out in cold sweat. Lin Xian's eyes emitted a golden radiance that enveloped the dozen people like a magic lamp. He said, I know that there are more spies than these two. There are more among you. I'll give you a chance. If you want to leave now, leave immediately. Those who stay will be members of the Divine Union in the future. Once you join the Divine Union, you will be brothers forever. You can't betray us. The moment Lin Xian finished speaking, 3 more people left. They were very fast and escaped in an instant. Obviously, the 3 of them were also spies. Lin Xian ignored them and looked at the remaining 9 people. He asked, "Are you guys not leaving?" The 9 of them replied, "No, we are willing to follow you." "Great." Lin Xian nodded and laughed heartily. "The 9 of you are the first batch to join the Divine Union, regardless of your current talent or strength. The Divine Union will do its best to train you. We will let you fight for the top 30 on the stars list in a short time." "Thank you, young master." They were overjoyed. They knew that they had made the right decision this time. Lin Xian looked around again and said loudly, "Although the Divine Union is in urgent need of recruitment, not everyone can join. From now on, the Dragon Hall will be established. The Crimson Dragon will be the leader. The Unparalleled Hall will be established. The Fu Hongye will be the leader. The Elixir Hall will be established. The Dan Feng will be the leader. The Sacred Hall will also be established. I will temporarily be the Hall Master." When each hall recruited members, they would be divided into ordinary members and core members. There would be a corresponding promotion system. The core members of each hall would be able to enter the spiritual palace. At the moment, Lin Xian had finally laid out all the plans of the Divine Union. The Dragon Hall would be handed over to the Crimson Dragon. He would be in charge of gathering demonic beasts, strange beasts, and the 10,000 ancient tribes. The Unparalleled Hall was naturally to commemorate Unparalleled City. Lin Xian was a member of Unparalleled City. One day, he would make Unparalleled City appear again. At the moment, the Unparalleled Hall would be handed over to Fu Hongye and the others to recruit outstanding human disciples. As for the Sacred Hall, it was naturally the one that had been in the quintessential world. Lin Xian felt that the quintessential world and the buried Emperor Star were very mysterious. One day, this passage would be opened. This would allow the traffic between the 2 sides to be smoother. He had established the Divine Union not only to resist the Dragon Palace, but also to resist the 10,000 Dragon Court and the Purple Mansion. One day, the Divine Union would be above the myriad realms. Chapter 48-25. The news of Lin Xian getting rid of the spies spread through the Path sect and caused quite a stir. Some people said that this kid was quite ambitious. Others said that it was useless. As long as the Dragon Palace was around, they would never allow the Divine Union to grow. Sending spies was just the beginning. There would be more and more powerful attacks to deal with the Divine Union. The people from the Dragon Palace looked gloomy. However, they did not have the time to deal with the Divine Union. After all, there was going to be a grand banquet in the Path sect. When the time came, they would have to challenge and fight. The Patriarch of the Path sect would also attend the banquet. If they could catch the eye of the Patriarch and be accepted as a disciple, they would soar. Then, they would be able to soar. They would obtain 10 or even 100 times more cultivation resources than they currently had. They would be able to receive the personal guidance of the Sacred Master, and even enter the core area of the Path sect to cultivate. When that happened, it would be easy for them to annihilate the Divine Union. The Divine Union continued to proceed in an orderly manner. After a few halls were established, the Crimson Dragon, Fu Hongye, and the others started to recruit members. Lin Xian had nothing to do. When he had nothing to do, he would enter the Sword World to see how the Medicine King was doing. He would also accept a few missions in exchange for the right to enter the Mystic Ability Valley and cultivate some of the Path sect's ultimate mystic abilities. One day, Lin Xian received news that the 3 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs he had taught had already been refined into elixir pills by the great sage. He would be able to obtain a third of them. Lin Xian went to the mission hall and retrieved the elixir pills. After swallowing them, he started to cultivate. Before long, a voice was heard outside. "You are finally back. After disappearing for more than a year, I thought that you had perished outside." A grumbling voice was heard. Lin Xian opened his eyes and smiled. It was Miss Bai. Bai Susu said, "Are we not that unfamiliar?" I am about to join the divine union, yet this is how you address me? Call me Susu from now on. Lin Xian smiled when he heard this. Did this mean that she had agreed to join the divine union? This was really good news. I do have this thought, but you have to come with me before that. Where to? Lin Xian was puzzled. Bai Susu said, To see my parents. Lin Xian was stunned. He had only asked her to join the divine union, not to marry her. Was he going to meet her parents so soon? Bai Susu's face reddened as she glared at Lin Xian. You're spouting nonsense. My parents are both elders of the Tao sect. They also want to see exactly who you are, the person who has recently caused a storm in the Tao sect. Who knows, he might even give you some pointers. Really? That's great. Let's go. Lin Xian was also delighted. He could finally meet these elders. The two of them rose into the air and flew towards the Tao sect. After flying for a while, they finally arrived in front of them. Up ahead, there were already very few people, and a terrifying aura could be felt. This was the core of the Tao sect. It seemed to have formed a world of its own. Lin Xian felt that if he didn't have a special method, he wouldn't be able to enter. Bai Susu took out a token that glowed with boundless light. Only then did she open up the barrier ahead. After entering, Lin Xian sighed. This was indeed the place where the elders cultivated. The inside of this space was no different from an independent world. Furthermore, it was much stronger than the great path and heaven and earth energy he possessed outside. He didn't know how many worlds had merged to form this. Suddenly, a pair of cold eyes appeared in the sky ahead. It was a pair of blue eyes that appeared in the sky. In the blink of an eye, Lin Xian and Bai Susu were shrouded within it. Lin Xian stopped in his tracks. His hair stood on end. This gaze was too terrifying. It was scarier than any great sage he had ever seen. The great dragon sword soul in his body let out a low growl. 9 sun illusions appeared on Lin Xian's body to block it. Bai Susu, who was beside him, said, Grandpa Firmament, it's me. So it's the little girl from the Bai family. Why did you bring someone from outside here? An old voice with a hint of authority rang out. Bai Susu said, My father wants to see him. This is my father's handwriting. Bai Susu opened a scroll with great path dancing on it. It was a paragraph of a letter. The pair of blue eyes slowly disappeared after they were done looking at him. All right, let's go in. However, he could only enter your father's residence. He couldn't enter the territories of the other elders. Thank you, Grandpa Firmament. Bai Susu kept the scroll and pulled Lin Xian and Bai Susu inside quickly. Lin Xian was shocked. This old man's aura was really terrifying. Moreover, the rules here were really strict. After Lin Xian and Bai Susu left, an old man in a blue robe appeared in the sky. His eyes were emitting a deep blue glow. 9 sun illusions. Could he be the successor of the 9 suns? No wonder he could be with the little girl from the Bai family. The Tao sect was getting stronger and stronger. The old man smiled and disappeared into the blue sky. On the other side, Bai Susu said, That was Grandpa Firmament. Her cultivation had reached the late Great Sage realm, and she was known as the Firmament's Saint Lord. Great Sage late stage cultivation? Lin Xian was shocked. They flew all the way and flew past many immortal mountains. Finally, they landed in a mountain range. There were a few pavilions in the mountain range. Although there weren't many, they were all above the spirit eye of the supreme grade spirit vein. On a mountain peak in the distance, there was a man. He seemed to have turned into heaven and earth, and was cultivating. At the foot of the mountain, there was a lake. There were a few bamboo houses. Beside the lake, there was a middle-aged woman. She was cultivating there too. She seemed to have turned into the lake water. After Lin Xian saw it, he was shocked. These two people's understanding of the Tao was too deep. It had reached an unbelievable level. Bai Susu also stopped and said softly, She's my mother, and she's my father. Lin Xian stood there and watched silently. He felt his Tao and was enlightened. After a long time, The middle-aged man walked down from the mountain peak and came to Lin Xian in an instant. The middle-aged woman opened her eyes and said with a smile, "Susu, you're back." Susu walked up and said, "He is the Lin Xian I mentioned." The middle-aged couple turned to look at Lin Xian with kindness in their eyes. However, their cultivation levels were high after all, and Lin Xian still felt an immense pressure. The 9-yang divine body automatically defended and the illusion of 9 suns appeared. The middle-aged man, the levitation Saint Lord, nodded. As expected of the successor of the 9-yang divine body. "Young man, you are very lucky to have the 9-yang divine body. After reaching the greater mastery, your strength is far above mine." "Senior, you are too polite," Lin Xian said humbly. The levitation Saint Lord smiled. "You don't have to be humble. The 9-yang divine body that reached the greater mastery in history. It swept through everything. It was even above the saint realm. However, it was too difficult to reach the greater mastery. How confident are you?" Chapter 48-26. Lin Xian's eyes glowed with a golden radiance as he said, "Give me time and I will surpass everything." "How bold!" The levitation saint laughed. "This is the most interesting answer I've heard in a few thousand years. Young man, you are very confident. However, this path will only get harder as you progress. You might not be able to break through in a few thousand years. You have to be prepared. I also heard that you have a conflict with the Dragon Prince. How do you plan to face the Dragon Palace in the future?" It was obvious that the levitation saint was also very concerned about Lin Xian's attitude. After all, Bai Susu was also someone who wanted to join the Divine Union. Lin Xian said that even if they were not enemies, they would fight for the throne in the future. There would definitely be a battle. Even if it wasn't the Dragon Prince and I might have a battle. Lin Xian's eyes glowed even more fiercely. It was as if he had turned into 2 suns. The middle-aged woman was shocked. Even the levitation saint was stunned. To be honest, he had not expected Lin Xian to have the confidence to compete with the Dragon Prince. That was the Emperor's son. When he grew up, he would dominate the world. Even a greater success 9-yang divine body might not be able to compete with the Emperor's son. After all, the Emperor's son had the bloodline of the Arch and an Emperor's scripture. He might even have an extreme weapon by his side. Such an existence would be an uncrowned king in an era where there were no thearchs. Lin Xian said as if he had sensed the doubts of the 2 people. "From what I know, the Emperor's son has a unique bloodline and an ancient scripture. His future is limitless. However, I have read the ancient records of the Tao sect. It is recorded that the Emperor's son will dominate the world when he grows up. He is even more terrifying than a divine body or a sacred body. However, he will never become an emperor. His bloodline is his advantage and also his shackle. In other words, anyone who can become an emperor is not an emperor's son. Why don't I have this opportunity?" "Young man, very good. I have high hopes for you." The levitation saint smiled. He seemed to be witnessing the rise of a young emperor. He said, "Susu can join the Divine Union. Besides, I don't have much to give you, so I'll give you a greeting gift." As he spoke, he stretched out 2 fingers and tapped on Lin Xian's forehead. Countless great dots intertwined between Lin Xian's brows. Lin Xian was stunned. A wisp of an illusion appeared in his eyes, and a voice rang out by his ear. "This is the scene of me comprehending the grand Tao in the past. How much you can comprehend will depend on your fortune." Lin Xian stood there as if he had fallen into an epiphany, as if he had turned into a statue. Bai Susu was worried. The middle-aged woman smiled and said, "Don't worry. He's comprehending." The levitation saint waved his hand and left with Bai Susu and the other 2. A cool breeze blew by, stirring up the surface of the lake. Only Lin Xian remained standing there. 2 months later, Bai Susu came by and found that Lin Xian was still meditating there. She left. On the 3rd month, she sat by the lakeside again. At this time, Lin Xian's body shook and he let out a long cry. The 9 heavens and 10 earths were shaking, and there was even thunder in the sky. Baisusu stood up and said, "How was it? Did you comprehend anything?" Lin Xian said, "Thank you, Father. I feel like I'm about to break through. I need strength." In the Sage King realm, resources alone were not enough to break through. Even if you were given more resources, your level was limited, and you wouldn't be able to break through. For example, a wooden bucket could only hold a certain amount of water. Even if you were given an ocean, you could only hold a bucket of water. As for the bottleneck, you needed to comprehend the Grand Tao and break through to a higher level. Only then could you expand your capacity for strength. Lin Xian had obtained a great opportunity. His understanding of the Grand Tao deepened, and he felt that he could hold more strength. Now, all he needed was strength. "Susu, bring me out. I want to return to the god's residence." Baisusu brought Lin Xian quickly and they left the core area. Then, they returned to the god's residence. After entering, the thunder in the sky seemed to be faintly descending. Baisusu frowned and felt a sense of fear. Lin Xian said, "Go back first. I'll look for you after I break through." Baisusu nodded. She said, "Why do I feel that something is wrong? Do you need my father to protect you?" Lin Xian looked up and said, "It's just a punishment. It's not the first time I've seen it. It's fine." Baisusu was shocked. Heaven's punishment was the legendary punishment from the heavenly Tao. It was even more terrifying than the heavenly tribulation. Why would Lin Xian face heaven's punishment? She didn't understand. The Crimson Dragon flew over to persuade her that this kid had a way to deal with it. All right, Baisusu returned to ask her father. Actually, when Lin Xian was about to break through, the levitation Saint Monarch already felt it. Not only him, but the entire core area was alarmed. Why would heaven's punishment descend? In just an instant, Lin Xian disappeared. Only then did heaven's punishment slowly disappear. What's going on? They went to investigate. Many powerful elders sent their subordinates down to investigate. The levitation Saint Monarch also called Baisusu back and asked, "How is that kid related to heaven's punishment?" "I don't know." Baisusu shook her head. Then, they went to investigate and finally got some news. After all, Lin Xian was very famous in Taichin ancient city. Soon, they got news about Lin Xian. How did this happen? Immortal tomb body. Baisusu was shocked and didn't dare to believe it. The levitation Saint Monarch frowned. Someone from Immortal Tomb could reach this step? And he could even break through now? This is too unbelievable. Susu, his future doesn't look good. The levitation Saint Monarch frowned. "I don't care. Father, you have to help him." The levitation Saint Monarch sighed. "With his talent and the 9 sons descendant, I can recommend him to the old ancestors during the Tao sex ceremony. Some of the old ancestors will be interested and might even take him in as a disciple. But now, the chances are slim. No one will nurture someone who has no hope in the future. Impossible, there must be a mistake. How can Lin Xian be someone from Immortal Tomb? You know that he is very strong." Baisusu didn't believe it. The levitation Saint Monarch said, "Forget it, I will still recommend him to the old ancestors. But I don't know the details." The other elders also got news about Lin Xian. Some sighed. What a pity. Most people didn't pay attention to it anymore. Lin Xian was strong and could compete with the Dragon Prince. But how far could someone without a future go? The Tao sect was also in an uproar. They felt their hair stand on end. At this moment, everyone looked up. The red lightning seemed to be able to destroy everything. Even the people from Dragon Palace were shocked. What was going on? Go investigate. Countless people went to investigate. The people from the God Manor were also on guard. Because the lightning above them was the most terrifying. This was the legendary heaven's punishment. Nalan Liang was shocked. Why did it come to their God Manor? Damn it, if the heavens want to strike, they should strike the people from Dragon Palace. Those who just joined were even more terrified. They thought that destruction was coming. Chapter 48:27. The Crimson Dragon was also surprised. Damn, is there anything wrong with this kid? After all, the current sky punishment was too terrifying. Lin Xian's face was cold. He said to the Crimson Dragon, Fu Hongye and the others that he would start the seal now. No one was allowed to enter the entire divine abode. I'm going to go into seclusion to break through. You don't have to worry. After he finished speaking, he walked towards a large hall and activated the array formation after entering. Then, he entered the Sword World. When he entered this world, he felt that the sky punishment's aura that threatened him had disappeared. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. This Sword World was too mysterious. It could even block the sky punishment of the heavenly Tao. I wonder who created this world? He didn't care so much anymore. After entering, he took out the spiritual herbs that he had obtained before and the pills that he had rewarded. He swallowed all of them. Energy quantification spread out in his body and surged. Lin Xian roared towards the sky. Not enough! Not enough! At this moment, the great dragon sword spirit and 9-yang divine body required too much energy. Lin Xian flew towards the Four Spirit Valley. When he arrived, the spirit vein was also surprised. This kid's aura was growing at an extremely fast speed. Could it be that he was about to break through? Lin Xian arrived at the valley and looked at the Medicine King. At this moment, the Medicine King had recovered quite a bit under the illumination of the 4 spirit veins and the dragon flame star in the sky. Half of the Medicine King should be enough for him to break through. After all, he had eaten a lot of heaven and earth treasures before. Seeing this scene, the spirit dragon roared. Kid, leave it behind. Maybe it can grow again. They had been guarding this Medicine King for so many years. They couldn't bear to destroy it just like that. Lin Xian nodded to show that he understood. With a wave of his hand, he kept all the spiritual herbs on the ground, leaving only a root in the soil. Maybe it would grow out in the future. After swallowing half of the Medicine King, he felt as if 1,000,000 volcanoes were erupting in his body. His body was about to split open. He roared towards the sky. Boom boom. At the same time, dark clouds gathered in the sky and lightning descended. Was there a lightning tribulation here too? The 4 spirit beasts were shocked. Lin Xian's eyes also shone brightly as he charged at Ray. As long as it wasn't heavenly punishment, he wasn't afraid. No matter how strong the lightning tribulation was, he had the confidence to contend against it. The lightning in the sky descended, and it was even more terrifying than the lightning outside. Lin Xian fought fiercely. His body was shattered, but his eyes were even brighter. After this battle, he would become a late-stage Saint King, and his power would be much stronger than before. Outside, those people were waiting anxiously, especially Fu Hongye and the others. I wonder how he is doing? However, what made them heave a sigh of relief was that the sky punishment in the sky had gradually disappeared. In the Tao sect, the other people were rapidly gathering information. They already knew that the heavenly punishment was coming from the divine dwellings. It must have something to do with Lin Xian and the others, so they specifically collected information about them. Not long after, Dragon Palace received the news. When they saw the news, they laughed complacently. So that brat was from the immortal burial ground. He had no future. He was a dead man. Is a person who is not tolerated by heaven and earth qualified to compete with our Dragon Palace? He is courting death. The other people in the Tao sect were also in an uproar. Some people sighed. This Lin Xian was so heaven-defying. I thought he would be the second Dragon Prince. I didn't expect that he couldn't be compared to the Dragon Prince. That's right. Dragon Palace was founded by the Dragon Prince, and the Dragon Prince was only the second. If he couldn't even be compared to the Dragon Prince, how could he compete with Dragon Palace? He is strong now, but his strength will only reach this level in his lifetime. And we all have a limitless future. These people discussed animatedly. Dragon Palace sneered. A mere divine dwellings was nothing to be afraid of. After Lan Ji received the news, his eyes shone with a sharp light. Great! If Lin Xian continued to grow, she wouldn't have much of a chance. But the other party was from the immortal burial ground, and his strength wouldn't grow any stronger. This way, she would have a chance to strike. In an instant, the divine dwellings were looked down upon again. Originally, Fu Hongye had contacted many geniuses to join the Crimson Dragon sect. But these people had all rejected them. Even Lin Xian didn't have a future. The divine dwellings couldn't grow at all. What should I do? Half a month had passed. Fu Hongye frowned. I wonder how little Uncle Master is doing? Lu Yuan also said that the geniuses from before didn't plan to join. The Crimson Dragon gritted his teeth. Let's not care about that for now. Let's wait for this kid to come out of seclusion. After waiting for another half a month, the sealed hall finally opened. Lin Xian walked out with a smile on his face. After a month of thunderous battle, he finally resisted the lightning tribulation and successfully broke through. At this moment, he had reached the late-stage Grand Sage realm. Kid, you broke through. The Crimson Dragon was surprised. Lu Yuan, Fu Hongye, and the others' eyes also lit up. Great! Not only was Lin Xian not in danger, but he had also broken through. This allowed a huge rock in their hearts to finally be lifted. Great! Who said that we were from the immortal burial ground? We could have broken through, okay? The Crimson Dragon snorted coldly. The toad also roared. Yes, let's go out and let those people see. How dare they say that our divine dwellings have no future? They must be blind. Lin Xian also learned about the situation a month ago. It turned out that during this period of time when he broke through in seclusion, a lot of news about him had already spread outside. Even some of the geniuses who had originally agreed to join the divine dwellings had rejected them. Lin Xian knew that he had to go out and show his strength. Let's go out and take a look. Lin Xian and the others walked out. The Dao sect was becoming more and more lively. After all, the Dao sect's grand ceremony was about to begin. It was a grand event. The people of the Dao sect were all busy, but when they saw Lin Xian and the others, they were all stunned. It was this kid. Wasn't he from the immortal burial ground? He actually dared to come out. A person with no future was not worth paying attention to. Many people shook their heads. But soon they were stunned. They discovered that an extremely terrifying aura was coming from Lin Xian's body. This was the cultivation of a late-stage Grand Sage realm. That's not right. I remember that this kid was a mid-stage Grand Sage realm before. How did he become a late-stage Grand Sage realm? Could it be that he broke through? For a moment, countless people were in an uproar. When the news spread, everyone rushed over to take a look. Heavens, are my eyes playing tricks on me? He really broke through. How was this possible? Wasn't he from the immortal burial ground? He couldn't break through at all. He had no future. What was going on with him? Could it be that he broke the curse? What kind of joke was this? How terrified were the two people from the immortal burial ground in history? They were called young great emperors, but didn't they fall in the end? But what was going on with this kid's cultivation? Could it be that he wasn't from the immortal burial ground? Was the news fake? For a moment, countless people were in an uproar. Chapter 48-28. The people from Dragon Palace were also stunned when they heard the news. Did you say that the kid broke through? How was that possible? They sneered. Who spread the fake news? However, their subordinates shook their heads. No, the kid came out personally. He was in the square of the True Path sect and there were already countless people watching. Damn it. Let's go and take a look. The people from Dragon Palace walked over. Lan Ziyu also shook her head crazily when she heard the news. Impossible, it must be fake. She gritted her teeth. She also wanted to see what the other party was doing. A group of people walked over. Get out of the way. A cold voice came from behind the crowd. Everyone was unhappy. Who was so arrogant? However, when they saw the people from Dragon Palace, they all obediently made way. The people from Dragon Palace walked over and said, "That person from the immortal graveyard was a piece of trash. How dare he be so arrogant? Cripple your ass." The toad ran over. "Grandson, kneel down and kowtow to your grandfather." "Damn toad, do you want to die?" "Damn grandson, do you want to die?" The toad's mouth could anger people to death. The people from Dragon Palace were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. They ignored the toad and stared at Lin Xian. In the next moment, their pupils shrank. They originally wanted to see a joke, but they found that Lin Xian seemed to have really broken through. How was that possible? Lan Ziyu also exclaimed. "No, an illusion. You must have used an illusion. This is a smokescreen. You are a person without a future. It is impossible for you to break through." She looked like a lunatic. Lin Xian glanced at her and said indifferently, "You don't have the strength, but you want others to decline? You are really like an ant. My cultivation is a smokescreen? I'm afraid your cultivation is too low to see through it." There were experts present. They could tell whether it was an illusion or not. Lin Xian stood there with his hands behind his back. His aura spread clearly in all directions. It must be an illusion. The people from Dragon Palace roared. There were indeed experts in the crowd. They were shocked because they found that it didn't seem to be an illusion. However, no one dared to explain at this time. Whoever helped Lin Xian was going against Dragon Palace. Lin Xian's face darkened as he stared at the people from Dragon Palace. Was this an illusion? Why don't you personally test my strength? He looked at the people in front of him and said, "You guys are too weak. Come at me together. If you can block a slap from me, I will admit that it is an illusion." Everyone gasped. At this moment, there were more than a dozen people from Dragon Palace. All of them were top experts. Now that they were being looked down upon, they wanted to fight together. This Lin Xian was probably too arrogant. "You dare to look down on me?" The people of Dragon Palace roared. Lan Ziyu also roared angrily. "Despicable, don't be so arrogant." Lin Xian laughed. "Me? Arrogant? Who was the one who kept saying that I had no future? Suppressing the divine union? How dare you say I'm arrogant now? So what? If you don't like it, then come at me." Lin Xian stood there as if he wanted to challenge all the experts of Dragon Palace. However, Lan Ziyu pulled a long face. Even if his opponent hadn't broken through, so what? When his opponent had been a middle saint, he had already been able to kill his brother. He had even destroyed the incarnation of the Dragon Prince. These people, were no match for them at all. Sure enough, the rest of the people from Dragon Palace didn't dare to step forward. They gritted their teeth and said, "Brat, you are arrogant. Now, the experts of Dragon Palace are preparing for the grand ceremony of True Path sect. They don't have time to deal with you. Otherwise, do you think you can contend with any expert from the profound role? That's right. You were just lucky last time. Coupled with the carelessness of the Dragon Prince's incarnation, you succeeded. Otherwise, the Dragon Prince would have killed you with a finger if he had come personally." The people from Dragon Palace roared. Lin Xian said indifferently, "What's the point of talking so much? Let's fight. Let's fight to the end. A life and death battle is fine." Having said that, he drew a life and death contract. "Dragon Palace, who dares to sign a life and death battle with me?" The people from Dragon Palace were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. They wanted to roar, but Lin Xian drew the life and death contract to the highest heavens. His voice reverberated throughout True Path sect. "I will wait for you here for 3 days. Within 3 days, I will fight any expert from Dragon Palace to the death." When the news came out, the crowd was in an uproar. 3 days was enough to invite any expert. It was even possible to invite the real body of the Dragon Prince. "Kid, just you wait." The people from Dragon Palace went back and prepared to invite the experts who were in seclusion. However, those people didn't come at all. They only had one goal, which was the grand ceremony of True Path sect. Therefore, they didn't have time to bother with Lin Xian. Just like that, 2 days passed and no one dared to come. The Crimson Dragon sneered. So this is Dragon Palace? What a coward! The Toad snorted. Let's see who's the ant. They started to recruit talents. Sure enough, some people went up. They had no choice. Some of them wanted to join before, but they gave up because Lin Xian was from the immortal graveyard. Now that Lin Xian broke through and broke the curse, they saw hope. In addition, Lin Xian's strong life and death battles suppressed the entire Dragon Palace. In other words, no one in Dragon Palace dared to go against Lin Xian. If they followed such a person, their future would be limitless. In a short time, many people went up. The Crimson Dragon and Fu Hongye went through the assessment hurriedly. Those who met the requirements would join their main hall and become ordinary members. Then, they would become core disciples based on their contributions and missions to the spiritual abode. Many geniuses joined the spiritual abode. On the other side, the people from Dragon Palace gritted their teeth. Damn it, they wanted to suppress the other party. Who would have thought that they would benefit the other party? Damn it! They couldn't let them be arrogant. A group of people went back to kill. Humph! Whoever joined the Divine Union would be an enemy of Dragon Palace. They were emitting a cold aura. Many people felt their scalps go numb. Lin Xian stood up. Who dares to fight me to the death? Those people retreated in fear. Get lost if you don't dare! After saying that, Lin Xian drew a sword mark in front of him. Anyone who crossed the line would die. Lin Xian alone intimidated the heroes of Dragon Palace. Countless people were shocked. This was a true powerhouse. One word from him could suppress everyone. In a short time, more people wanted to join the Divine Union. The people from Dragon Palace were furious. They couldn't beat the other party here, so they might as well go back. After the ceremony ended, any expert from Dragon Palace would be able to destroy the other party. At that time, would the people from the Divine Union still dare to be arrogant? 3 days had passed and Lin Xian withdrew the life and death contract. He said faintly. Dragon Palace was really disappointing. Such a person dared to suppress the Divine Union? What a joke! He looked around and said, Join the Divine Union and I'll bring you to the top of the world. Countless people yearned for it. Seeing that many people wanted to join, Lin Xian smiled. He left the details to Fu Hongye, the Crimson Dragon. He didn't need to care. Bai Susu was also there. When she saw that Lin Xian was fine, she was so excited that she almost cried. That's great, I was really worried about you. Lin Xian smiled. Don't worry, so what if they are from the immortal treasury? I can also stand at the top if I walk the divine path. Otherwise, if the other elders or old men took a fancy to him during the ceremony, he would not have another chance in the future. Thinking of this, she took her heart of the realm and went to find an expert from the Dragon Palace. Long Jingfeng. An expert of the Wind Dragon clan. He was an expert on the Profound Board. Both their strength and status were extremely high. At this moment, he was also in seclusion for the Dao Sect's grand ceremony. On this day, Lan Jiu came to his residence and asked for an audience. A battle servant walked over and said, My young master is cultivating with all his might and won't see any guests. Please return. Lan Jiu clenched her teeth. She knew that with her current status, she simply didn't have the qualifications to see him. She said, I know that young master Jingfeng is at a critical moment in his cultivation. I'm willing to give him half a world's worth of resources just to see him. The battle servant was stunned. Then he said, Wait here, I'll go and report. Half a world's worth of resources? How much was that? He couldn't imagine it at all. Therefore, he couldn't make the decision on this matter. Soon he returned. My young master invites you. Lan Jiu was invited in. In the main hall in front, a man in a green robe stood up. Dragon scales flashed on his body, and the law of wind revolved around him. So it's you. Why are you looking for me? Long Jingfeng smiled. Lan Jiu said, I want you to introduce me to the Dragon Crown Prince. If you can do it, I'll give you an entire world, let alone half a world. Long Jingfeng was stunned. Then he said, It should be because of your brother. You want to take revenge, but you don't have the strength, so you're prepared to rely on the Dragon Crown Prince's power. That's right. Lan Jiu nodded. She didn't intend to hide this. Long Jingfeng smiled. Someone like the Dragon Crown Prince was too arrogant. He had countless women by his side. You might not be able to get him to help you take revenge. Why don't you stay by my side? I'll help you take revenge. Long Jingfeng was also from the dragon race, the Wind Dragon race. He was also very strong. Lan Jiu thought about it and gritted her teeth. Thank you for thinking so highly of me, young Master Jingfeng, but I still want to see the Dragon Crown Prince. Even if I become dust by his side, I'll accept it. This is my world core. I'll give it to you, young Master Jingfeng. I hope you can help me. After it's done, I won't forget your benefits. Even a supreme saint would be jealous of an entire world's worth of resources, let alone him. Long Jifeng took it and said, Okay, I'll introduce you. I can even help you stay by the Dragon Crown Prince's side and get what you want. But you have to help me. What do you want? Lan Jiu asked. Long Jingfeng said, Resources. More cultivation resources. I'll introduce you to the Dragon Crown Prince, and you give me a world. If I help you become the Dragon Crown Prince's Tao companion, you give me 3 worlds. How about that? 3 worlds. Lan Jiu's pupils shrank. She couldn't take it out, but if she really became the Dragon Crown Prince's Tao companion, it would be different. Her status and the resources she needed would all undergo earth-shattering changes. She gritted her teeth and said, Okay, as long as I can become the Dragon Crown Prince's Tao companion, I'm willing to give you 3 worlds. Very good. Long Jingfeng smiled. He said, Go back and dress up. I'll take care of the rest. Lan Jiu left. She had hope in her heart. As long as she could get the Dragon Crown Prince's support, killing Lin Xian would be easy. Lin Xian didn't know any of this. He was currently refining pills with Dan Feng. Lin Xian was also an expert in the pill Dao. And he had already promised the first batch of 9 people. He wanted these 9 people to fight for the top 30 on the star's ranking. He was a man of his word. These 3 people's strength was average. It was impossible for them to enter the top 30 on their own. However, he wanted to go against the heavens. If even these impossible people could do it, what would the others think? They would probably go crazy and want to join the Divine Union. That was the effect he wanted. Lin Xian was already very good at refining pills. Coupled with Dan Feng and Fan Xing, the 2 of them were top experts. Therefore, cauldron after cauldron of pills were refined. After the 9 people received them, they were so excited that they cried. They said, Young Master, we swear to follow you to death. Lin Xian smiled and said, Hurry up and consume them. As for martial arts, let the Crimson Dragon, Fu Hongya, and the others teach you. If there's anything you don't understand, just ask. I'll definitely make you the first batch of experts. Chapter 4830. Under the guidance of a large amount of elixir pills and martial arts, the strength of the 9 of them improved by leaps and bounds. Finally, under the leadership of Crimson Dragon, they started to challenge the experts on the star ranking. These 9 people had not been able to make it onto the star ranking previously. However, they had done it this time. They first challenged the 85th person on the star ranking and succeeded. Subsequently, the 70th and 60th star ranking got closer and closer. In an instant, there was an uproar. F***CK. Someone had risen. Their ranking had risen so quickly. Furthermore, it was not just one person, but 9 people. Were these 9 people crazy? Could they have had a fortuitous encounter? They had asked around and finally found out that these 9 people were actually from the Divine Union. Furthermore, they had joined not long ago. The Divine Union had only been established for a few years, and these people had only joined for 1 or 2 years. Were they already so terrifying? The Crimson Dragon said. That's right. Do you see that? If you join the Divine Union, your strength will improve by leaps and bounds. What are you hesitating for? In an instant, there was an uproar. The people from the Dragon Palace gritted their teeth. Stop them! They had also mobilized the experts on the star ranking. However, in the end, these 9 people successfully made it to the top 30 of the star ranking. In an instant, the Path sect was in an uproar. The top 30 of the star ranking had changed completely. Apart from the people from the Dragon Palace, the Divine Union had the most people. It took up almost a third. Many people were envious. They had no hope of making it onto the star ranking. Even if they did, they would be suppressed by the Dragon Palace. If they did not join the Dragon Palace, they would be severely suppressed. However, they now saw hope in the Divine Union. Go quickly. This time, the result of challenging the star ranking was very good. Hundreds of people rushed to the Divine Union in an instant, wanting to join. The Crimson Dragon was so happy that his mouth was crooked. This was great. This would be a very effective group of experts. With more people, they could carry out various actions. For example, they could form teams to accept missions from the Path sect and conquer other worlds. All of these required manpower. Some worlds were barren and only had demonic beasts. However, they had large amounts of spirit veins, mineral veins, and various precious metals. In order to seize these resources in such worlds, one had to go through countless battles. One had to fight with demonic beasts and experts from other worlds. All of these required people. With the addition of these geniuses, not only did the Divine Union have a large number of experts, but these geniuses also had families and sects behind them. That was also a limitless amount of resources. Therefore, the Divine Union was extremely lively right now. Nalan Liang and Yuren were both excited. They had joined earlier than the other 9 people, so they had obtained more pills and resources. At this moment, the 2 of them had already charged into the top 10 of the star's rankings. He had also become one of the top experts on the star's list. Neither of them dared to believe it. One had to know that Nalan Liang had not joined the Tao sect twice. Although Yuren had joined, he was only an ordinary disciple. But now, they were standing in a dazzling place, receiving the worship of countless people. All this was given to them by Lin Xian. As for the Crimson Dragon, Toad, Fu Hongye, and Lu Yuan, they had already begun to compete on the Jade board. The Divine Union was getting stronger and stronger. The people of Dragon Palace gritted their teeth and began to secretly prepare and gather strength. They wouldn't allow the Divine Union to continue growing? However, some people sneered. It was useless. Everything the other party did was futile. When the Tao sect's grand ceremony came, everyone would know how powerful Dragon Palace was. That would be the place where they would display their strength. Lin Xian and Nalan Liang's side was going very smoothly. However, the Nalan family was in a crisis. Nalan Yanran's brows were tightly furrowed. This time, she was facing a choice between life and death. It had already been more than 2 years since she had returned from the Medicine Star. However, she had provoked a formidable enemy. After returning from the Medicine Star, she had gained a lot. However, she had not obtained the Medicine King. She could only feel depressed. However, on the way back, she had discovered a unique beast under the starry sky. This had made her feel very excited. This unique beast was very young. If she could capture it, it would be a heaven-defying treasure. It would be even more precious than the Medicine King. One had to know that, besides her strength and talent, she was so terrifying because she had previously encountered a fortuitous encounter and obtained the Ice Phoenix's nirvana. This time, she had encountered another good thing. It was a demonic dragon. It was a unique species of the dragon tribe. It was very precious. Its entire body was a treasure. Naylin Yenren felt that her good luck had come again. Therefore, she chased after it with all her might. Although the demonic dragon was small, it had all kinds of great magical powers of the dragon clan. In the end, it escaped. Naylin Yenren felt that it was a pity. Such a great opportunity had been lost for no reason. How could she not feel heartache? However, there was nothing she could do. She thought that this matter was going to be settled. However, a year ago, the demonic dragon returned and brought an expert with it. The other party came for revenge and found Naylin Yenren. In that battle, Naylin Yenren was very frightened. She and the experts of the Tianzong sect went to carry out a mission and were killed. Except for her, who was seriously injured and had to flee, the others had all died. Moreover, the ones who chased after her were the demonic dragon and a demonic man. Naylin Yenren's face became incomparably ugly. She knew that the other party had returned for revenge. She could only hide. In the following year, she lived very nervously. She was afraid that the other party would come to her door at any time. Half a year ago, she finally quietly returned to the family and breathed a sigh of relief. With the strength of the Naylin family, so what if the other party came for revenge? However, the matter was not over. It was much more serious than she had imagined. She found that after returning to the family for a month, the people around her died every day. Those people had the aura of the demonic path and were abnormally ferocious. Naylin Yenren would never forget this aura because it was the same as the aura of the injuries on her body. In other words, the other party had found her and could come and go freely in her family. This caused her to become extremely terrified. She went to her father and grandfather for help. There were even several great sages protecting her. However, it was useless. Naylin Yenren did not die. The great sages did not die. However, the Naylin family had people dying every day. For a time, the Naylin family was in a state of panic. The elders of the Naylin family also frowned. Previously, they valued Naylin Yenren, but now, the other party had caused such a great loss to the family. If they did not solve it well, their family would suffer heavy losses. For a time, the status of the Naylin family rapidly declined. The people of their bloodline went crazy. They used all kinds of methods to contact the other party and decided to compensate. However, it was useless. The other party replied that he only wanted Naylin Yenren's life. Damn it! The people of Naylin Yenren's bloodline went crazy with anger. The other party was obviously a great sage expert who was good at all kinds of concealment and assassination. He came and went without a trace. They could only passively defend. Chapter 48-31. Damn it! Naylin Yenren gritted her teeth. Would she have to stay in the family for the rest of her life? Was this a joke? Naylin Yenren's grandfather's eyes flickered. It seemed that they had to find a way to get rid of this danger. Grandpa, what should we do? The old man said. Invite the experts here. We'll gather a group of experts and wait for him to come. Then, we'll fight him to the death. This is the only way to get rid of the danger. Otherwise, you'll live in the shadows for the rest of your life. Naylin Yenren gritted her teeth and said, All right, this time, no matter the cost. Yenren's father said, I'm afraid we can only provide resources. After all, the family is not optimistic about us. If we can get through this crisis, Yenren, you'll still be the number one in the family. Otherwise, the number one in the younger generation will change hands. The old man said, This is easy. Invite the experts on the Holy Gulf list. We can use some of our resources. Naylin Yenren's side acted quickly. She went to invite the experts, including the experts from the Heavenly Sect and the experts on the Holy Gulf list. Naylin Yenren promised a lot of resources, which made even the great saints jealous. However, when those people learned about the strange things that happened to the Naylin family, they all refused. There were experts who died mysteriously in the Naylin family every day. This kind of thing could not be hidden at all. It had already spread. In an instant, countless people were talking about it. Most of them knew that Nalan Yenran had offended a mysterious expert. That was why she was being hunted. The experts from the heavenly sect immediately shook their heads and refused. Although there were top geniuses among them who thought that they were extraordinary, they did not want to provoke such a terrifying expert for no reason. Even some of the people who were ranked lower on the Holy Gulf list refused. Nalan Yenran continued to increase the chips, and as expected, someone came. Even Nalan Yenran's grandfather personally went out and invited an incredible expert. That's great. Nalan Yenran's father was happy. Yenran were saved. The Six Paths Itinerant has agreed. The Six Paths Itinerant! Nalan Yenran exclaimed. She naturally knew that the Six Paths Itinerant was an expert from the Six Paths sect. At the same time, he was ranked 2001 on the Holy Gulf list. Nothing would go wrong if he helped. Great! Nalan Yenran clenched her fists. She saw hope. She said, "Why don't we invite more people? It's always safer with more people." "All right, I'll leave it to you." Next, Nalan Yenran spent a lot of money to invite a group of experts. With such resources, there were finally people who were envious and went for it. At the other side, in the Dao sect, Nalan Liang was shocked when he received the news. How could he not pay attention to the matters of the Nalan family? Thus, he soon found out. Especially when he learned that Nalan Yenran had taken out the bright moon returning clouds painting. His eyes were red. This was a treasure that he had always wanted to obtain. However, no matter how he begged Nalan Yenran, she wouldn't give it to him. After all, his status wasn't as high as hers. Now that the other party had actually taken it out, he immediately went to find Lin Xian. He smiled and said, "Boss Lin, I have something good that you have to help me with." "What's going on?" Lin Xian was surprised. Nalan Liang said, "It's about our Nalan family." He told her everything that had happened before. Lin Xian also frowned. Nalan Liang said, "Boss Lin didn't need to worry. That mysterious expert had already been challenged by the Six Paths cultivator. He is ranked 2001 on the Holy Gulf list. He is very powerful, so we shouldn't be in any danger. Let's go and support him. When the time comes, I will beg that sister. Perhaps she will give me the bright moon returning clouds painting. Boss, this is a good thing. It contains great Tao. When the time comes, we can comprehend it together. There is no need to comprehend it together. We are brothers. Since you need it, I will naturally agree." The Nalan family was also a big family. Lin Xian also wanted to make friends with them. Furthermore, he had met Nalan Yenran before. If he could form a good relationship with Luo Yunyang, the Nalan family would stand on his side and the Divine Union would gain another powerful ally. How could Lin Xian miss out on such an opportunity? "All right, go and tell the family that we will be there when the time comes." "That's great, Boss Lin." Nalan Liang was very happy. He quickly sent the news to the family. At the same time, Nalan Yenran also started to make preparations. She wasn't with the family. Instead, she went to the White Crane Tower and booked the 5th floor. At the same time, she set a time and prepared to take charge of the 5th floor. Then, she would invite the other experts to come and issue a challenge. The Nalan family spread the news that they wanted to challenge the mysterious expert. The other party would definitely come. 5 days later, Nalan Yenran sat on the 5th floor of the White Crane Tower. Beside her were some disciples of the Nalan family. There were also many people. There were people from the Sky sect, as well as other families and sections. They had all come to support her. She didn't care about these people. These people were just there to support her. The most important one was the unaffiliated Six Paths. That powerhouse was the person she valued the most. Outside the White Crane Tower, Lin Xian and Nalan Liang stopped. Lin Xian had a strange look on his face. He hadn't expected to come to the White Crane Tower again. It couldn't be helped. The White Crane Tower was too famous. Even if there was a big battle, it wouldn't be damaged. After all, it was an ancient tower formed by the body of a great sage. Boss Lin, let's go. Nalan Liang was very happy as he led the way. When they reached the 5th floor, they saw many experts. Those people also turned their heads to look at them. Nalan Yanran glanced at Nalan Liang and was about to ignore him when she saw him. However, when she saw the person beside him, she was stunned. She said in surprise, "It's you." "Yes, it's me. Fairy Nalan, long time no see. But you've lost a lot of weight." Nalan Liang was surprised. It seemed that they knew each other. He didn't know. His sister was the most powerful person in the family. When did Lin Xian know her? The people around also exclaimed. Who was this person who dared to talk to Fairy Nalan in such a tone? Could it be that he was also a top expert of the younger generation? Nalan Liang walked over with a smile and said, "Sister, so you know each other. I won't introduce you. This is my boss." The experts around were even more surprised. The person in front of them was also a genius of the Nalan family. Although his status wasn't as high as Nalan Yanran's, he couldn't be underestimated. He actually recognized someone else as his boss. Who was this young man? In an instant, countless people came and went. When they sensed that Lin Xian was only a late-stage holy king, they frowned slightly. Such a cultivation level didn't seem to be enough. However, Nalan Yanran was surprised. "You've broken through." She was really too shocked. When she fought with Lin Xian before, Lin Xian was only a middle-stage holy king. Now that he had broken through, his strength must have improved by leaps and bounds. Perhaps he had already surpassed her. Chapter 48-32. Nalan Yanran looked at Lin Xian and said, "I didn't expect you to know my useless brother. What a surprise." Then she looked at Nalan Liang. "All right, since you managed to get Lin Gongzi here, I can give you the Bright Moon Cloud map." "Really? That's great." Nalan Liang was excited. Lin Xian's eyes lit up and he was surprised. It seemed that the difference in status between the two disciples of the Nalan family was huge. Nalan Liang seemed to be afraid in front of him. It seemed that he had to find a way to raise Nalan Liang's status in the family. After all, he and Nalan Liang were brothers. "Lin Gongzi, please take a seat." Nalan Yanran sat down and smiled. She recognized Lin Xian's strength. He was not weaker than her. However, she did not think that he would have a chance to fight this time. After all, the mysterious expert was too terrifying. Ordinary great saints would definitely die if they met him. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, he was not a match for him. So this time, he was only here to help. At the same time, she smiled and said, "Lin Gongzi, you made the right choice this time. There will be an old senior coming later. I will introduce him to you." He was a top expert on the Abyss leaderboard. When she said this, a fiery red light appeared in her eyes. She looked up to the person on the leaderboard. The other people's eyes also lit up. Finally, he could see the legendary Almighty Master. Sure enough, a person walked in from outside not long after. Everyone felt that the world had frozen. Their blood was boiling and their bodies were about to split open. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. This pressure was really too terrifying. Nalan Yanran's eyes lit up. She stood up and walked outside. "Senior Six Paths, you are finally here." When Nalan Yanran saw the figure below, she immediately smiled. With this smile, the pressure between heaven and earth seemed to have disappeared. Countless people looked over with their eyes wide open. Nalan Liang was also shocked. "Did the Six Paths really come?" A tall old man walked over. He was wearing armor, and his aura was terrifying. He was the rogue cultivator of the Six Paths, who was ranked on the Holy Gulf ranking. "Greetings, Senior." The Saint Kings who had been invited all bowed. In fact, there were even two great sages who looked at him respectfully. There was nothing he could do about it. The other party was simply too strong. Nalan Liang felt his entire body turn cold, so did he. He hurriedly bowed. Only Lin Xian didn't seem to have much of a reaction. At this moment, Lin Xian's expression was a bit strange. Was this the vagrant six paths? Was this the expert that he had just stepped on? One had to know that the six paths loose cultivator was ranked 2000th, but in the end, he was forced to rank 2000th. It was just that they didn't know each other. Who would have thought that they would meet in such a place? Seeing that Lin Xian was sitting there unmoved, the expressions of the people around him changed. Even Nailin Yanran furrowed her brows. This Lin Xian was too reckless. Even though she had to admit that the other party was a top-notch genius who wasn't any weaker than her. However, he shouldn't be so arrogant. Even she was so respectful to the vagrant six paths, but he was so arrogant? Was he reckless? Forget it. She wouldn't recommend him this time. Otherwise, it would be bad for her if she angered the vagrant six paths. Nailin Liang also said, "Boss Lin, why don't you hurry up and bow as well?" He was afraid that Lin Xian would anger such an expert. Lin Xian didn't care. He picked up the spirit tea on the table, took a sip, and narrowed his eyes. He was waiting for the other party to bow. What a joke. The other party's ranking was lower than his. There was no need for him to bow. However, the others didn't know that. They all thought that Lin Xian was reckless. Even Nailin Liang sighed, but he didn't say anything else. After all, they were only here to help. From now on, they might never see the vagrant six paths again. If he didn't respect him, so be it. The vagrant six paths was like a god, receiving the respect of countless people. When he saw that only Lin Xian was sitting there, unmoved, he frowned slightly. However, he ignored him very quickly. Perhaps an ant didn't know how powerful he was. However, behind him, a young man stood out and looked at Lin Xian coldly. "Kid, don't you know how to respect your seniors?" This young man was the disciple of the vagrant six paths. He was also very powerful. He was a young top genius. When he saw that Lin Xian didn't respond, he was furious. Was this kid looking down on his master again? "Forgive me for being blind, but who is your master?" Lin Xian said calmly. He still didn't have any intention of standing up to bow. Feng Han was very angry. He said proudly, "My master is the vagrant six paths." His eyes were filled with pride. That name was enough to shock the world. When Lin Xian heard it, he immediately knelt on the ground. However, he was disappointed. Lin Xian said calmly, "Oh, that's it." Feng Han was going crazy. Was it over with just an "oh"? Shouldn't he be trembling in fear and then worshipping him? Damn it, is this brat an idiot? Could it be that he came from some mountain? He doesn't know his master's name at all. Yes, that must be it. So he's just an ignorant ant. No wonder he's so arrogant. Feng Han snorted. "You'll know how powerful my master is later." Nailin Liang was angry. This kid was too arrogant. Lin Xian shook his head. "It's fine." He didn't even care about the vagrant six paths, let alone his disciple. Now, he was interested in the mysterious expert. What kind of person could make the Nailin family so miserable? The vagrant six paths sat down and asked calmly, "Fairy Nailin, how powerful is the mysterious person you mentioned?" Nailin Yanran said that the person was very terrifying. He should be a great sage. However, ordinary great sages wouldn't even be able to dodge 3 of his attacks. Furthermore, when he came to my Nailin clan, he came and went without a trace. This junior had no other choice but to ask senior for help. No matter who he is, I'll just suppress him. The vagrant six paths said calmly. He had unlimited confidence in himself. After all, there were some people who were stronger than him. However, they wouldn't make things difficult for a little girl. The person who made a move on a young girl probably wasn't someone powerful. When the surrounding people heard this, they kept nodding their heads, feeling envious. Look, this was the demeanor of an expert. He looked like he was invincible. This was the realm they wanted to reach in the future. Lin Xian shook his head and sighed. The vagrant Six Paths underestimated his opponent. He didn't even know who the enemy was. If he was careless, he might be at a disadvantage. Chapter 48-33. Hearing Six Paths' confident words, Neilin Yanran smiled. Neilin Yanran also smiled. She was naturally aware of the other party's strength. She took out a treasure box and opened it. Senior, this is a realm core. Take it. I'll give you another realm core after this is done. We won't go back on our word. Please don't worry about that. From now on, you'll be my benefactor. I'll report this to the family head, and we'll have more opportunities to work together. When he saw the world heart, a smile appeared on his face. He waved his hand and put the world heart away. This time around, he wasn't helping them out of kindness for no reason. Six Paths had promised to give him 2 realm cores after this was done. Now, he would be using 2 worlds. That way, he would be able to progress further on the path of martial arts. He even wanted to take revenge. Last time, he was trampled on by a guy called Mad God. This time, he had to fight back. His name had to surpass Mad God's. With these 2 worlds as resources, his cultivation speed would be very fast. It wouldn't take long for him to achieve his goal. When the surrounding people saw this scene, their eyes turned red. That was a world core. They had the resources of a world. The Neilin family was really generous. Even Neilin Liang was envious. Six Paths had just given him the Returning Clouds painting, but he had given Six Paths an entire world's worth of resources. Comparisons were odious indeed. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He didn't know that helping out was worth so much. However, he wasn't in a hurry. Perhaps he would have a chance to help out this time. They just had to wait. Neilin Yanran took out the most exquisite delicacies and spirit tea as a treat. Everyone surrounded the Six Paths vagrant cultivator and treated him with respect. Only Lin Xian and Neilin Liang were exceptions. However, no one paid any attention to them. Instead, they distanced themselves from the 2. Halfway through the meal, the Neilin family's guards came to deliver a message. A strange figure appeared. Neilin Yanran put down the teacup and a cold look appeared in her eyes. She waved her hand and 6 figures flew out to investigate. However, in the next instant, a miserable shriek was heard. Neilin Yanran's face turned ugly. He felt that the souls of the 6 people had disappeared. In other words, they were killed in an instant. The others also frowned. What a terrifying method. These 6 people were not weak. Humph! Everyone heard a low laugh, followed by footsteps coming from the stairs. A man in a black robe appeared. You want to use such an ant to challenge me? Countless people looked in the direction of the voice. So, that was the mysterious man. Neilin Yanran's face also turned pale. That's right, it was this aura. She would never forget it. This tall figure was like a demon god. He stared at Neilin Yanran and said, You dare to chase after my junior brother? I'll give you a chance. Kneel down obediently and accept your death. Otherwise, I'll make you wish you were dead. Neilin Yanran's face was pale. She gritted her teeth and said, I didn't know that he was your junior brother. Besides, I didn't succeed. Your junior brother is safe and sound now. Why don't we resolve our grudges? You can name any conditions. I'll agree to all of them. She didn't want to offend such an expert unless she had no other choice. You don't know? The black-robed man sneered. I can name any conditions. The price is your life. Use your life to apologize to my junior brother. Impossible! Neilin Yanran roared. She could name any conditions, but it was impossible for her to die. She said, Are there no other conditions? The black-robed man sneered. Since you don't want to listen, don't blame me for doing it myself. A terrifying demonic aura was emitted from his body. Lin Xian frowned slightly. This person was indeed strong. His demonic aura was so terrifying. Was he from the demon race? Nalan Yenran gritted her teeth. Since you're so heartless, don't blame me. She turned to the vagrant six paths and said respectfully, Senior, please suppress him. The vagrant six paths nodded and looked at the other party with a condescending look. The other party was indeed a great sage. But that was it. With the aura that the other party was emitting, he was no match for the vagrant six paths. He looked at the disciple beside him and said, Feng Han, I'll leave this to you. Feng Han stood out and said, Don't worry, Master. I don't need you to deal with trash like this. I can deal with him. Feng Han's eyes were filled with confidence. He was a great sage pinnacle stage genius. Plus, he was from the Six Paths sect. Naturally, he had the strength to fight those above his level. With his cultivation and the Six Paths fist, it wasn't a problem for him to fight against a great sage. This time, it was time for him to shine. Seeing a young man walk out, the black-robed man frowned. And get lost. You're courting death. Take yours truly's power! Feng Han rushed out instantly. He waved his fists, and it was as though there were 6 worlds in them. Six Paths fist. He used his strongest skill right from the start because he wanted to make a name for himself. The surrounding people were shocked. This Feng Han was too terrifying. He didn't seem to be weaker than them. In fact, he might even be stronger. Even the top disciples of the 3 great orthodoxies couldn't be compared to him. Countless people were shocked. However, Lin Xian sighed. This guy really didn't know what was good for him. This black-robed man was obviously a terrifying great sage. If he went up against him, he would definitely die. Seeing this, the black-robed man sneered. With a wave of his hand, a terrifying storm enveloped the area. With a loud clang, the surrounding void shattered. Then, a blood-curdling scream could be heard. Everyone's scalp went numb. They looked ahead in disbelief. They saw the Six Paths fist being grabbed by the opponent. Then, the black storm tore Feng Han's body into pieces. 1 hit, 1 kill. Was he dead? The crowd couldn't believe it. That was a top genius of the Six Paths sect. He used the Six Paths fist, and his physique was extremely terrifying. But even so, he couldn't even block a single hit? These people were scared out of their wits. The Six Paths sect's pupils shrank. Damn it, how dare you! He struck out with his palm. The terrifying palm covered the sky, trying to save his disciple. However, it was useless. Feng Han's soul had long been destroyed. He only managed to catch a cloud of blood mist. Damn it, no matter who you are, I'll send you to hell today. The Six Paths sect's eyes were filled with killing intent. He had searched for this disciple for hundreds of years before he found a genius. He had also spent hundreds of years to nurture him. Now, his disciple had reached the peak of the great Sage King realm, and his Six Paths fist had reached the small success stage. He was very satisfied. But now, his disciple had fallen. He couldn't accept it. At the same time, he was shocked. The person in front of him was more terrifying than he had imagined. However, he didn't care about him at all. Chapter 48-34. The Six Paths was enraged. He took a step forward and his power exploded. The surrounding heavens and earth crumbled, and the entire 5th level shook violently. Countless people retreated in fear. A great sage's anger would dye the 9 heavens red. The Six Paths' eyes were filled with killing intent as he looked at his opponent. This place is too small for me to fight. Come out with me. I'll make you regret it. The black-robed man sneered. There's no need to go out. This place is enough because it won't be too troublesome to kill you. Arrogant. The Six Paths was enraged. He no longer hesitated and attacked with his palm. It was like the palm of a heavenly god, filled with shocking killing intent that shattered the void in front of it. Even a great sage would be reduced to a bloody mist in the blink of an eye. The black-robed man sneered and waved his hand. A terrifying black storm rushed out. The two collided. It was as if 1,000 volcanoes had erupted. Fortunately, the Tower of White Cranes was made from the body of a great sage. Otherwise, it would have been destroyed by this attack. After the first attack, it seemed that they were evenly matched. The surrounding people had retreated far away. They were terrified. Is this the power of a great sage? Although they could fight above their level, they were powerless against such a great sage. Nailin Yenran was extremely nervous. She clenched her fists. Her life was all on the 6 paths naturally, she would watch the battle nervously. On the other side, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Although it was only the first attack, he could already tell. He sighed. This person seemed to be more terrifying than he had imagined. You're just SOSO. The 6 paths snorted when he saw his palm being blocked. The mysterious expert opposite him was shocked. 6 paths fist? So he's from the 6 paths sect. However, you're too reckless. I'll kill you even if you're from the 6 paths sect. As he spoke, his eyes shone with a terrifying light. His aura became even more terrifying. He clapped his hands. His 5 fingers seemed to have turned into 5 demonic swords. They were filled with power. Then, he slapped down mercilessly. Boom! With a palm strike, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. His 5 fingers drew a black dragon that danced between heaven and earth. At this moment, everyone felt their scalps go numb. They were so scared that they almost fainted. How many times had his strength increased compared to before? 6 paths' pupils shrank as well. He knew that his opponent was stronger than he had expected. He couldn't afford to be careless anymore. 6 Dao Fist. His hands danced non-stop as he threw out a punch. 6 phantoms appeared and charged forward with his fist. Boom! Today's earth-shaking collision was like 2 worlds clashing, as if 10,000 bolts of lightning were descending. 1. At this time, the black-robed man's other hand slashed down like a black crescent moon, shaking the mountains and rivers. 6 paths unleashed his 6 paths fist with all his might to fight against the palm. He didn't expect his opponent to have another killer move. This attack landed directly on his body. His arm was broken, and he was sent flying. He roared and screamed miserably. His arm instantly recovered, and he attacked again. However, the other party's hands danced. Light of the demon god. Between his palms, there was an extremely terrifying black light being emitted. Heaven and earth trembled, and everyone was terrified. It was as if a demonic world had been opened. This was a peerless divine ability. Even Lin Xian was shocked. He took Nailin Liang and kept retreating. In front of them, the sky and earth were collapsing. When the terrifying light disappeared, 6 paths' body was shaking, and his face was pale. Both of his arms were completely broken and hung limply by his side. There were hundreds of bloody holes on his body, and blood was flowing out. His face was full of horror. You actually broke my 6 paths fist. Who are you? He was too shocked. When did such a demonic expert come to Holy Abyss City? Remember, my name is Mo Guang. As soon as he finished speaking, an extremely powerful light of the demon god rushed over. 6 paths resisted with all his might, but he was still sent flying. He landed in the distance and vomited blood. It seemed that he was seriously injured. No! Impossible! Nailin Yenran was stunned. That was the 6 paths. He was ranked 2001 on the glory leaderboard. How terrifying was that? But now, in less than 100 moves, he was severely injured by the other party? The person in front of him was too terrifying. What kind of person did he provoke? Senior, please attack. I know you still have a trump card. Nailin Yenran roared quickly. However, the 6 paths' expression was extremely ugly. He gritted his teeth and said, I won't interfere in this matter anymore. I won't take the rest of your reward. After saying that, he closed his eyes and ignored her. How could this be? Nailin Yenran was completely stunned. In her eyes, the Six Paths was her biggest backer. In her opinion, he could definitely sweep away everything. But now, the Six Paths said that he would not care about her. What should she do? She would probably end up in a miserable state. She looked at the people around her and said, "Hurry up and attack. I'll give whoever kills him a world." However, the people around her retreated in fear. The black-robed man in front of them sneered. He waved his hand, and a black storm flew out, turning into dozens of black dragons that tore those people to pieces. For a moment, all sorts of screams and blood rain could be heard. Everyone was dead. Other than Nalin Yanran and the Six Paths, only Lin Xian and Nalin Liang were left. Nalin Liang was completely stunned. This was too terrifying. Could it be that he was going to fall here today? Nalin Yanran was so scared that she fell to the ground, her face full of fear. The black-robed man walked in front of her and looked down at her. Nalin Yanran raised her head and said, "I'll give you a world as compensation. Please spare my life." "A world?" The black-robed man sneered. "If you give me the Nalin family, I'll consider sparing your life." Nalin Yanran was in despair. What a joke. She was not the leader. How could she give the family to someone else? Even if she was the leader, she could not do it. Nalin Yanran knelt down. Although she was a genius, she did not want to die. Even the Six Paths in front of her was not a match for the black-robed man. The black-robed man could kill her with just a finger. Hence, she did not dare to resist. She said, "Senior, I was wrong. I shouldn't have attacked your junior brother. I'd beg to be your junior brother's battle servant as long as you spare my life. Also, you won't get any benefits from killing me. You won't get any resources. Also, I'm the strongest person in the Nalin family. If I die, the family will definitely take revenge for me. My Nalin family also has top experts and terrifying great saints. When they attack together, Senior will be in danger." The black-robed man laughed. "Are you threatening me? No matter how strong the Nalin family is, it's only in Holy Abyss Ancient City. If I kill you and leave the Ancient City, what can your Nalin family do to me?" Chapter 48-35. Nalin Yanran was in despair. It didn't matter if she begged or threatened the other party. The other party didn't seem to be afraid of anything. This kind of person was the most terrifying. Nalin Liang's scalp went numb. Was this the number one genius of their family? But now, she was begging for mercy like an ant. How ironic. But if it was anyone else, they wouldn't be able to raise their head. What he was most worried about was whether the other party would make a move on them after killing Nalin Yanran. If the other party made a move, none of them would be able to resist. Nalin Yanran wanted to die. Her face was filled with despair as she kept kowtowing. However, at this moment, a voice sounded. "Fairy Nalin, give me 2 world cores and I can save your life." Hearing this, Nalin Yanran's body trembled. Hope returned to her eyes. It was the Six Paths rogue. Was he going to make a move again? Although the other party had been defeated, he definitely had a powerful trump card. If he took out a terrifying sacred weapon or used the Six Paths Gate's secret technique, she might be able to escape. But when she turned around, she realized that it wasn't the Six Paths rogue, but Lin Xian. The light in her eyes disappeared as she fell into despair again. Although Lin Xian was strong, he was the same as her. If they met, wouldn't they have to kneel and beg for mercy? Nalin Liang, who was standing at the side, was stunned as well. He was still thinking about how to escape, but he did not expect Lin Xian to directly ask to save his ancestral sister. But could Lin Xian do it? Although Nalin Liang knew that Lin Xian was strong, the black-robed man in front of him was too terrifying. Even the Six Paths rogue was no match for him. As expected, the Six Paths rogue opened his eyes and stared at Lin Xian as if he was looking at an idiot. Even he couldn't defeat the other party, let alone a young man. It seemed that the other party was tired of living. Lin Xian picked up the herbal tea on the table and took a sip. Then, he looked at the stunned Nalan Yanran. He faintly said again, "What's wrong, Fairy Nalan? Don't tell me you don't understand? Give me 2 worlds, and I will save your life. You only have one chance, so consider it carefully." The black-robed man was thoroughly enraged. A young ant actually dared to say such words? Was he looking down on him? What an ignorant fool! An extremely terrifying killing intent erupted from his eyes, enveloping the surrounding void in front of him. The sky fell and the earth cracked. However, Lin Xian was safe and sound. The black-robed man was stunned. He was surprised that Yi Futian had some strength. No wonder Yi Futian dared to be so arrogant, but so what? It was just blocking his gaze. Could the other party block his true strength? Nalan Yanran was also stunned. To be honest, a bit of hope had been restored in her eyes. However, her instincts told her that Lin Xian was no match for him. If she were to agree to Lin Xian's request now, she would be completely angering the black-robed man. She would have no chance of survival at all. The black-robed man sneered. "Brat, I originally thought that after killing Nalan Yanran, I would slowly deal with you guys. If I was in a good mood, I could even let you guys go. However, you actually dared to jump out recklessly. Well then, no one here can think about walking out alive today." Nalan Yanran almost fainted when she heard this. Even the 6 Paths' pupils constricted. Damn it, he was going to be killed by this brat. Nalan Liang said, "Boss Lin, should we hurry up and run?" Lin Xian put down the spirit tea and stood up with a smile. "None of you want to live? Aren't you a bit too arrogant? You think you can't kill me? If you cultivate for a few thousand years, you might be able to, but not now." The black-robed man's face completely darkened. Demonic chi filled the sky from his body, and demonic flames danced in his eyes. "Brat, you have completely angered me. I will make you suffer. I will let you experience what it means to live a life worse than death." He reached out a demonic hand and grabbed at Lin Xian. Everywhere it passed, nothing could stop it. Lin Xian stood there without moving. His eyes were filled with confidence. When the black hand reached him, he stretched out his fist. When he punched out, it was as if a golden sun had appeared, shining in all directions. Boom! With one punch, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Lightning filled the surroundings. The large black hand was blocked and even forced back. How was this possible? Nalan Yanran's pupils constricted. She couldn't believe that this young man was as strong as her. What kind of joke was this? The 6 Paths' expression changed. What a powerful strength, what a terrifying physique. Could this young man possess the legendary body of the ancients? Nalan Liang was even more dumbfounded. It seemed that Boss Lin's strength was beyond her imagination. Everyone knew that they had underestimated Lin Xian. Nalan Yanran quickly said, "Lin Gongzi, save my life and I will give you 3 worlds." She saw hope. Lin Xian was her savior. She had to grab hold of him. Lin Xian's lips curled up. "Very well, I'll save your life. You're courting death." The black-robed man stood out. He was completely enraged. "If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." He slammed his hand down again. Terrifying demonic chi bloomed from his 5 fingers, turning into 5 demonic dragons that swept across the sky. He wanted to kill Lin Xian. However, there were illusions of 9 suns revolving around Lin Xian's body. His fist was even more terrifying than the ancient golden crow. With one punch, he shattered everything. Boom! The 5 demonic dragons were shattered. The black hand was torn into pieces. The black-robed man retracted his hand. His pale face became ferocious. How was this possible? He didn't hold back this time, but he was still no match for Lin Xian. It was unbelievable. The 6 Paths beside him was even crazier. He had fought with Lin Xian before and knew how strong he was. The young man in front of him was stronger than him? What kind of divine being was this? After Lin Xian's punch succeeded, he attacked again. His fist fell like thousands of meteors, forcing the black-robed man to retreat. The black-robed man roared. "Demon!" He roared, and endless demonic chi appeared on his body. Light of the demon god. Thousands of rays of black light turned into sharp black swords that pierced through the sky. Nailin Yanran was extremely nervous. This was Lin Xian's ultimate technique. It was the same technique that defeated the Six Paths. The Six Paths' expression also became serious. Could the kid in front of him block the attack? Lin Xian snorted. He used the divine dragon blood, and the illusion of a dragon appeared behind him. Sword. Lin Xian pointed at the sky. The sword dragon behind him roared. The scales on its body flew out, and turned into a divine sword that fell into Lin Xian's hand. One sword to slay the demon. This sword was like the light of the North Pole, becoming the only thing in the world. Everyone's soul trembled. After the sword, the light of the demon god shattered. One of the black-robed man's arms was cut off, and half of his body turned into a bloody mist. Lin Xian held his sword and smiled. I told you that you don't have the right to be arrogant in front of me. Do you believe me now? Chapter 48-36. A cold voice sounded out, shocking countless people. Nailin Yanran was incomparably terrified. She had always thought that Lin Xian's strength was similar to hers, but how could it be like this? This person had completely surpassed her, reaching an unfathomable level. The black-robed demon Shine clenched his teeth and asked, "Just who are you?" "My name is Lin Xian, a disciple of the True Dao sect." "Lin Xian? True Dao sect? Good boy, I'll remember you." Demon Shine coldly snorted and then looked at Nailin Yanran. "You're lucky today to be able to keep your life. But in the future, I'll send you to hell." After he finished speaking, he turned to leave. Nailin Yanran let out a sigh of relief. This was great. Her life was saved today. Afterwards, she didn't want to leave her family for the next 100 years. However, Lin Xian coldly snorted. "Stop right there. Did I say you could leave?" Demon Shine was stunned. He turned his head, his eyes erupting with a biting cold killing intent. "Boy, what do you want?" Lin Xian smiled. "Before, you were high and mighty. If you wanted to kill me, you would kill me. But now that you can't beat me, you want to leave with just a few words? There's no such thing in this world. Do you want to kill me?" Demon Shine was also angry. Leaving today was already giving this person a lot of face. Lin Xian smiled. "That's right." He stepped forwards, his aura erupting as an even more terrifying strength appeared. Since he had already attacked, how could he easily hold back? Saving Nailin Yanran wasn't enough. He wanted to thoroughly subdue the Nailin family. "Stupid thing, do you really think I don't have any more cards in my hand?" Demon Shine's face was ice cold. He clenched his teeth and said, "Good. I originally didn't want to use some taboo martial arts, but since you want to die, I'll help you." His palms constantly formed seals as terrifying demonic runes appeared on his body. An incomparably terrifying aura appeared. "Summon the Demon Lord." Behind him, endless demonic energy condensed into a vortex. From within, a dark shadow appeared, bobbing up and down. This dark shadow was tall, like a demon god. He stood there, overlooking all. In his hand was a black spear. It was also an illusion, but it exuded a destructive aura. This was bad. Nailin Yanran frightened. Nailin Liang also retreated far away, and Six Paths' pupils shrank. "Stupid thing!" He cursed under his breath. The demonic shadow he had summoned was enough to threaten his life. With a sway of his body, he tore the void apart and flew into the distance. There was no need to watch the battle in front of them. That brat was strong, but he definitely wouldn't be able to withstand this sure-kill attack. He would definitely die if he stayed here, so it was better for him to escape in advance. The 6 paths cultivator quickly left. Looking at the fleeing figure, Lin Xian's eyes glowed with a golden light. The seal of reincarnation struck the opponent. The whole process was so quiet that even 6 paths didn't notice. Then, Lin Xian turned to stare at Demon Shine. To be more exact, he was staring at the black shadow demon behind Demon Shine. It's just an illusion. It's not the real demon god. Is this your trump card? Lin Xian was disdainful. You're courting death. You dare to underestimate Lord Devil Master? Stupid thing, Lord Devil Master is the lord of the devil realm. He commands 10,000 demons, and in his hands is the highest divine artifact of the devil realm, the Shattering Spear. You don't understand anything, yet you dare to underestimate Lord Devil Master? Die. With a single step, the heavens fell and the earth cracked. The surrounding void constantly shattered. The phantom behind him also walked out, the black shadow in its hands swaying. The surrounding heavens fell and the earth cracked. A destructive aura appeared. Nailin Yanren and Nailin Yanren were so frightened that they nearly fainted. However, Lin Xian wasn't afraid at all. In fact, he had a strange expression. Shattering? Could it be the Shattering Spear? You actually know about it. Then you should have heard of it. In the legends, the Shattering Spear could destroy the heavens and earth with a single strike. Although it was only an illusion, it still possessed a supreme might. Obediently kneel down and accept your death. Lin Xian was surprised. He didn't think that this phantom would be related to the Shattering Spear. Could it be that the demon master was also from the great demon clan? But soon he laughed. Stupid ant, if you took out something else, you might have been able to scare me. But Shattering Spear, you are too ridiculous. Let me tell you what true Shattering Spear is. Lin Xian's eyes flashed with a cold light. With a flick of his hand, a black light flew out from his storage ring and was caught by him. 1. That was a black spear. Lin Xian thrust it into the skies, causing the surrounding heavens and earth to crack. What was that? Nailin Yanran was shocked. That spear also had a terrifying destructive aura. Across from him, Demon Shine's pupils shrank. He roared out, "Impossible!" He seemed to have discovered the most terrifying thing of all. The weapon in Lin Xian's hand was far too similar to the phantom he had summoned. Even the aura was the same. Lin Xian was holding the Shattering Spear? But that was a divine tool of the demon world. How could Lin Xian have it? Just who are you? Are you also from the demon race? Lin Xian smiled. He said, I don't need to explain to a dead man. The Shattering Spear danced, rushing forwards. This strike was enough to destroy everything. Damn it! Demon Shine was enraged. Kill! Although he didn't know how Lin Xian had obtained the Shattering Spear, he had to bring it back. He had to kill Lin Xian, take it, and offer it to the Demon Lord. As the two sides clashed, the heavens fell and the earth cracked. It had to be said that Demon Shine was extremely strong, far above scattered 6 paths. Moreover, Lin Xian had burned his laws and bloodline to display his ultimate skill. It was even more terrifying. However, Lin Xian's Shattering Spear was already terrifying to begin with. In addition, he galvanized the Great Dragon Sword Soul with all his strength. The Great Dragon Sword's strength poured into the Shattering Spear, causing the demon tool to come to life. It turned into a shattering dragon, dancing between the heavens and earth. Bang bang! The phantom that Demon Shine had summoned instantly shattered. As for Demon Shine, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His body was torn apart. Damn it! His soul wanted to flee. He had to flee back and report this matter to the Demon Lord. Stay! Lin Xian's eyes erupted with a terrifying light. Samsara, heavenly steel. A terrifying eye technique erupted, forming 2 heavenly steels that directly suppressed Demon Shine. No! Demon Shine's soul had been severely wounded. This was the power of Samsara. Spare my life. My master is the Demon Lord. If you kill me, he won't let you go. Demon Shine was too terrified. Against an ordinary great sage soul, even if Lin Xian used an extremely powerful eye technique, he still wouldn't be afraid. But with the power of samsara, he really couldn't block it. Lin Xian didn't stop. With a cold snort, the two samsara heavenly steels shattered Demon Shine's soul. Lin Xian stretched out his hand and grabbed onto a soul fragment. His eyes flashed as he read the information within. Then, he crushed the soul fragment. With this, Demon Shine's soul vanished into thin air. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian took Demon Shine's storage ring. Then, he looked at Nalan Yanran in the corner. He smiled and said, "All right, the danger is over. You can live." Chapter 48-37. Hearing Lin Xian's words, Nalan Yanran's body shook. Was it over? She couldn't believe it. Looking at Demon Shine in front of her and the bloody mist, her face turned pale. Before coming, she had thought of countless possibilities. She even thought that Six Paths wouldn't be able to defeat Lin Xian and would escape with her. However, she never thought that Demon Shine would be killed by Lin Xian. And Six Paths had escaped ahead of time. It could only be said that this world was too mysterious. Nalan Yanran stood up and said, "Thank you, Lin Gongzi, for saving my life." She looked at Lin Xian with a trace of fear in her eyes. After all, he was a supreme existence that could kill Demon Shine. Lin Xian smiled. He nodded and said, "What about the matter you promised me before?" Nalan Yanran was stunned. Then, she remembered that in order to save her life, she had promised to give him 3 world cores. Thinking of this, she took a deep breath and said, "Since I promised you, I naturally won't go back on my word. I'll go back to my family and gather them. Sir, please give me some time." Lin Xian nodded. He wasn't afraid that she would run away. After all, she was from the Nalan family. Lin Xian smiled and said, "I'll send Fairy Nalan back." Then, he waved his hand and sent a surge of energy into Nalan Liang. Nalan Liang was so scared that he couldn't stand up. Now that he was enveloped by Lin Xian's energy, he recovered his strength. He said, "Boss Lin, you were too cool just now. You were like a god." He knew that following Lin Xian was the right choice. From now on, he would follow him for the rest of his life. Nalan Yanran was also shocked. She didn't think that Nalan Liang would find such a backer. She quickly took out a scroll from her storage ring and said, "Take it. This is the moon returning to the cloud painting. Take it. If you need anything in the future, just tell me. As your sister, I'll definitely agree." "Good, then I won't be polite." Nalan Liang directly took it. He had wanted this scroll for a long time. Of course, he also knew that this was all because of Lin Xian, which was why the other party was so polite to him. Next, Lin Xian sent Nalan Yanran back to the Nalan family. At the same time, he asked Nalan Liang to stay. As for the explanation, let the other party handle it. On the other hand, Lin Xian's figure flashed and flew into the distance. Many people of the Nalan family were waiting nervously. They didn't know how Nalan Yanran was doing. Nalan Yanran's father said, "With the help of the 6 Tao cultivators, there would be no problem." An old man nodded in agreement. "That's for sure. This time, we've paid a huge price to give them 2 round cores." Just like that, after a long and anxious wait, they finally saw a figure walking back. "Yanran, you're back?" The middle-aged man walked up happily. "Where is the vagabond 6 Paths?" The old man said. "I want to thank him personally." In their opinion, the only reason Nalan Yanran was able to come back alive was because of the 6 Paths vagabond. "Father, grandfather." Nalan Yanran was also crying. Her eyes were red. However, when she heard the middle-aged man's words, she said, "It's not the vagabond 6 Paths. That guy was defeated and ran away halfway." "What?" The 2 people in front of her were stunned. "It's not the vagabond 6 Paths?" Why did Nalan Yenren come back? Could it be that she had reconciled with the enemy? No, Nalan Yenren told him what had happened before. Then, her grandfather and father were shocked. You're saying that a young man killed Demon Shine? That's impossible. The middle-aged man also shook his head. Even the vagabond Six Paths was defeated. How could a young man withstand it? Nalan Yenren said. I saw it with my own eyes. Moreover, he's a disciple of the Tao sect. How do you know such a young expert? The old man asked. Nalan Yenren said. I didn't invite him, but Nalan Liang. Nalan Liang has already recognized Lin Xian as his boss. He wants the cloud returning painting in my hands, so he invited him. It's actually Nalan Liang. The middle-aged man was shocked, but the old man's brows were tightly knitted together. This didn't seem good. Nalan Liang was also a member of the Nalan family, but his status in the family was far worse than Yenran's. But now, Nalan Liang had found such a powerful backer. The situation in the future was uncertain. He frowned and said, Yenran, go find Nalan Liang. We have to thank him properly. Nalan Yenran left. The old man's face sank. It seemed that the family situation was about to change. They had to be careful of this Nalan Liang. At the same time, do your best to find out who this Lin Xian is. Father, are you saying that Nalan Liang will threaten Yenran's status? How is that possible? The difference in talent between the two was too great. The old man shook his head. We weren't worried before, but with this Lin Xian, anything is possible. Don't worry, when he comes over, we'll find out who this Lin Xian is. They made up their minds and began to move. On the other side, Lin Xian was flying at high speed. Previously, when the vagabond Six Paths escaped, he left a soul mark on him. Now, he was going to find him. In the east of Holy Abyss Ancient City, there was a cliff. It was very steep, as if it had been split open by a heavenly sword. On the cliff, the wind was strong. No one below a supreme saint dared to come. At this moment, there was a figure sitting cross-legged there. Endless light flickered on his body. There were 6 light figures around him, as if they were connected to 6 worlds. He was the vagabond Six Paths. His palms were constantly forming seals, and there were pills and treasures beside him. Not long after, he opened his eyes and spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it! The demonic aura was too terrifying. Previously, when he was pierced by the light of the demon god, the demonic aura was left in his body. At this moment, he was removing it bit by bit. This time, he was really careless. He didn't expect to meet such a terrifying demonic expert. But fortunately, he was able to escape. Thinking about it, that little girl from the Nalan family wouldn't be able to escape at all. Even that Lin Xian would die without a doubt. Thinking of this, he sneered. Fortunately, he was smart and ran fast. At this time, a faint voice sounded behind him. What are you so happy about? Tell me. The vagabond Six Paths felt his hair stand on end. Who was it? He suddenly turned around, as if he was facing a great enemy. He thought that Demon Shine had come to kill him. But soon, he realized that it wasn't him. A man in a black robe walked out from behind him. It's you? He was shocked. You're Lin Xian? You didn't die? Could it be that Demon Shine spared you? Spared me? Lin Xian laughed. You really don't have any imagination. Can't you imagine that he has already been killed by me? Demon Shine was dead. Or was he killed by the other party? The vagabond Six Paths was stunned. Then he shook his head. Impossible. Kid, don't try to lie to me. He knew how terrifying Demon Shine was. How could he die? Chapter 48-38. What an ignorant ant. Lin Xian shook his head and sneered. You think that just because you can't beat me, no one in this world can't beat me? Boy, I admit that I am not invincible in this world, and there are many people stronger than me. But you are absolutely not one of them. The reason you were able to contend with Demonshine before was because you swallowed some sort of secret pill in advance to forcefully increase your strength. This sort of pill is extremely harmful, and will damage a martial artist's foundation. You're dead. Do you think that you can fool me with this kind of insignificant trick of yours? Lin Xian was left speechless. This fellow was far too arrogant. Forget it, he was too lazy to explain. His eyes flashed with a cold light. Think what you want, but I came to find you for an important matter. What is it? Do you want to join forces with me to contend with Demonshine again? The way he saw it, Lin Xian must have escaped and wanted to invite him back. Lin Xian sneered. You really are an idiot. I came to find you to tell you that I want to borrow your 6-path fists. What did you say? Scattered 6 Paths was thoroughly shocked. This fellow wanted to borrow his 6-path fists? What a joke! This was his ultimate skill, and it was also the 6-path gate's ultimate skill. He would never pass it on to outsiders. This fellow wanted to see it? I'm not crazy, am I? But soon, his mind stirred. Could it be that this fellow wanted to take him as his master? Young people all had their pride as geniuses. This fellow must have been too embarrassed to directly say it, so he changed his words. Thinking of this, his heart burned with passion. It had to be known that a genius he had raised had already perished, leaving him with deep regret. If he could take this person as his disciple, that would also be an extremely good thing. He could even use this chance to explore the secrets of this fellow's body. After all, to be able to jump ranks and contend with Demonshine, there had to be some sort of fortuitous encounter on his body. When the time came, he could hide and become even stronger. Boy, do you want to learn the 6-path fists? Sure, kneel down and take me as your master and I'll teach you the 6-path fists. Lin Xian smiled. This fellow must have hurt his head in that battle. Take him as a master? I think you've misunderstood. I'm not here to take you as my master. I'm here to order you to hand over the 6-paths fist. This 6-paths loose cultivator was from the 6-paths gate. Lin Xian had been hunted down by the 6-paths gate, and there was a chance that he would continue to be hunted down in the future. After all, he had obtained the power of reincarnation. Both sides would become enemies sooner or later. Therefore, Lin Xian would not hold back against the people of the 6 Dao school. The 6-paths vagabond was furious as well. Not only did he not want to become Yi Futian's disciple, he even wanted to force his way in. What a joke! Do you think that just because I'm injured, you can behave atrociously over my head? Even if you were given another 5,000 years, you wouldn't be qualified. Stupid thing. Since you don't want it, I'll take it myself. Lin Xian's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Then, the giant hand reached out. The golden palm descended like the sun, bringing with it terrifying flames. The scattered cultivator of 6 paths dodged the attack. His face was gloomy as he thought. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. I'll show you what the true 6 paths fist is. He roared and punched out. The power of the 6 paths fist seemed to be able to engulf reincarnation. It had to be said that the scattered cultivator of 6 paths was really strong. This was a peerless fist technique. Lin Xian was not afraid. He used the skywalk step, constantly swaying. What a peerless fist technique! It's a pity that it's like this. Damn brat! The scattered cultivator of 6 paths clenched his teeth. His opponent's movement technique was too strange. He clenched his teeth and said, "Why don't you dare to fight me head-on? Take my ultimate skill, 6 paths of reincarnation." His fist carried the phantoms of 6 worlds, which immediately shrouded Lin Xian. Go to hell, brat! He hadn't used this attack when he faced Demonshine. In his opinion, he just didn't want to risk his life against Demonshine. Otherwise, even if he used the 6 paths of reincarnation, it would be difficult to resist. This brat in front of him was even more impossible to resist. The earth cracked as the 6 phantoms swallowed everything. The scattered cultivator of 6 paths laughed complacently. Is this your 6 paths of reincarnation? It's only SOSO. A calm voice came from the front again. What? The scattered cultivator of 6 paths' pupils shrank. You're not dead? How is this possible? Is he not afraid of reincarnation? His eyes widened. A light cut through the void. He saw Lin Xian standing in the middle of the 6 phantoms, opening up an independent space. The scattered cultivator of 6 paths' power couldn't even get close to him. A golden light appeared in Lin Xian's eyes, and an extremely terrifying phantom appeared. Let me show you what the true power of reincarnation is. Reincarnation steel! The eye technique in Lin Xian's eyes completely erupted. The power of reincarnation swept out, directly tearing apart the 6 phantoms. They turned into 2 steels that pressed forward. In an instant, the scattered cultivator of 6 paths' soul was severely injured. He spat out blood, his face full of horror. The power of reincarnation! Damn it, how can you have this power? He was crazy. This was something that only the 6 paths gate had. No! He was shocked. Lin Xian used his eyes to release the power of reincarnation. Does he have the Rinnegan? Thinking of this possibility, his scalp went numb. Now he finally understood why Lin Xian attacked him. The 6 paths gate was known as the 6 paths body. As for the Rinnegan that was related to the soul, it was a different branch. After all, Kun Grand Sage and Qian Dashing had different developments in the past, and they were mortal enemies. Both wanted to take the others. Now he was a member of the 6 paths gate, and Lin Xian had a terrifying eye technique and the power of reincarnation. Clearly, he was a descendant of Qian Grand Sage. Damn it, the Rinnegan has appeared. He had to quickly inform the sect to pursue Lin Xian. Thinking of this, he turned around and fled. Don't you think it's too late to leave now? Lin Xian stood on the cliff and looked into the distance. Extremely terrifying flames burst out from his eyes. He formed a hand seal and activated his heavenly secret technique. The fire of reincarnation. Buzz! The terrifying soul fire floated out and instantly enveloped the other party. The next moment, the scattered cultivator of 6 paths screamed in the air. His body was twisted. His body was not injured, but his soul was severely injured. Damn it! The 6 paths of reincarnation. Lin Xian used the power of reincarnation. He could only use the power of reincarnation to block it. Although his soul was not as strange as Lin Xian's, he had cultivated the 6 paths fist. His fist technique could be used to create 6 worlds. It turned into the 6 paths of reincarnation to save his life. As expected, the power of the 6 paths of reincarnation blocked Lin Xian's soul fire. The scattered cultivator of 6 paths' face was pale and his expression was ferocious. Brat, you almost killed me. I didn't expect you to have cultivated the power of reincarnation to such a level. Unfortunately, you're too young. If I give you a few 100 years, I won't be able to escape. But now you can't stop me. Chapter 4839. Can't stop you? Lin Xian laughed. You're too naive. Do you think I only have the Rinnegan as a trump card? 6 paths' pupils shrank. Could it be that Lin Xian had an even more powerful trump card? He did not believe it. You're deliberately mystifying me. Lin Xian said that you weren't my match even before I broke through, let alone now. Back then? 6 paths was stunned. Did he know Lin Xian before? Right, you still don't know who I am. My name is Lin Xian, and I have another title, the Mad God. What? You're the Mad God? The 6 Dao cultivator exclaimed in disbelief. How could he not know this name? Back then, he had been suppressed by the Mad God. He had thought of countless possibilities. The Mad God should be a powerhouse of the older generation, but he had never expected him to be a young man. Damn it, I don't believe it. six paths roared and flew into the sky. He wanted to escape. Lin Xian was too terrifying. You want to escape? Lin Xian waved his hand, and the heaven-devouring jar flew out. A terrifying black vortex swept down from the sky. Scram! Six paths roared and punched out, trying to break the vortex. However, he found that he could not do it. What is this? He was shocked. Lin Xian had a trump card, and it was extremely powerful. Could it be that Lin Xian was really the mad god? Thinking of this possibility, he despaired. This was his nightmare. He felt that his entire body was about to be swallowed by the black jar. Lin Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. Before he broke through, the mad god was already no match for him. Now that he had broken through, how could the mad god be a match for him? Devour! With a roar, the heaven-devouring jar's power erupted, and the sky darkened. With a whoosh, six paths was swallowed. Lin Xian waved his hand and recalled the heaven-devouring jar. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. His figure flickered, and he returned to the Path sect and the divine abode. He went into seclusion. This time, he had killed two powerful great sages in a row, so he had gained a lot. With a wave of his hand, he first took out Demon Shine's storage ring. There were many magic crystals and magic stones, all of which were used to cultivate the Devil Dao. Then, Lin Xian's eyes shone with understanding. When he had destroyed the other party's soul, he had investigated it once. It was all for the sake of collecting the light of the demonic gods, the cultivation method of this divine ability. When he saw the light of the demon god, he was also greatly surprised. It was a very powerful divine ability that Lin Xian could cultivate. Logically speaking, the further one progressed, the harder it would be to cultivate. Many powerful saint kings, and even great saints, would cultivate a small number of specific nomological laws. Because his energy was limited. However, Lin Xian didn't care at all. He had the great dragon sword spirit, so he didn't need to worry about energy. He frowned slightly. He did not know who this demon master was. Originally, he thought that it should be a mythical figure, a symbol like a totem. But later, he found out that it wasn't the case. Before he died, he said that he was the Devil Lord's disciple. Then, was this demon lord still alive? Moreover, he was probably an extremely terrifying existence even among great saints. Could it be that he had reached the peak of great saint? Or was the demon lord just a title that was inherited by the strongest demonic cultivator in history? He didn't know any of this. He couldn't be bothered to care. After tidying up the light of the demon god, Lin Xian took out the heaven-devouring jar again and checked inside. The scattered six paths body had long been devoured. Only his soul was left, and it was weak. If Lin Xian hadn't intentionally left his soul intact, he would have died long ago. The heaven-devouring jar was half an extreme weapon. Its power was definitely not something a great saint could imagine. Seeing Lin Xian enter, the scattered six paths soul quickly said, "Assistant, please don't kill me. I'm willing to hand over the six paths fist." "Very good." Lin Xian nodded. The scattered six paths heaved a sigh of relief. However, in the next moment, his soul roared crazily. "You dare to attack me?" Lin Xian's expression was cold, and an extremely terrifying reincarnation vortex appeared in his eyes. "I can let you live, but from now on, you will only be my slave. You will always respect me." He activated an extremely powerful reincarnation power and placed the seal of life and death. The scattered six paths soul became extremely weak. The way he looked at Lin Xian changed. He became extremely respectful. Because now, Lin Xian could take his life with a single glance. His soul knelt down on one knee in greeting. Lin Xian waved his hand and released the scattered six paths soul. Then, he said, "Recover. Go and recover on your own. If anything happens, I'll inform you." Yes, the scattered six paths soul was extremely respectful. He turned into a stream of light and disappeared. Lin Xian didn't kill him because he still had a use for him. Keeping him alive would make him his slave in the future. There were many things that he could let him do. It was equivalent to having a powerful battle servant. Then, his lips curled into a smile. The six paths fist was in his hands. He had wanted this fist technique for a long time. The power of the six paths fist was extremely terrifying. The scattered six paths had been famous for many years because of this peerless fist technique. Lin Xian believed that this fist technique would become even more terrifying in his hands. This was because his physique was far from what the scattered six paths could compare to. Moreover, the reincarnation power that he possessed was not something that the other party could imagine. Next, Lin Xian went into seclusion and began to enter the sword world to cultivate these two techniques. For Spirit Valley. The four spirit beasts were surprised to see that Lin Xian had cultivated two powerful divine abilities. How could this kid cultivate all kinds of laws and divine abilities? Could he cultivate all of them? A few of them were doubtful. However, not long after, they were astonished. They discovered that Lin Xian had actually practiced the two different ultimate skills to such an extent that they looked like they were real. Could it be that this guy was also an expert of the demonic path? On this day, Lin Xian stopped. He felt that he could no longer improve by cultivating in seclusion. He had to find someone to practice with. But who could he find? With his current strength, it was not easy to find an opponent who was on par with him, and was not life-threatening. But soon he smiled. The Sacred Abyss Tower. That place was very suitable. Lin Xian immediately set off for the Sacred Abyss Tower. Previously, he had already reached the 40th level, but he did not continue to break through to the 50th level. Instead, he started cultivating from the first level. This time, it was not to increase his ranking, but to cultivate the light of the demon god and the six paths fist. The Sacred Abyss Tower only recorded the highest ranking, so Lin Xian's cultivation would not affect his ranking. Just like that, he did not rest for a moment in the next few months. He did not know how many battles he had experienced. He was even covered in scars. However, Lin Xian did not use any other techniques. He used the six paths fist and the light of the demon god to block. The light of the demon god could penetrate everything. The six paths fist was even more terrifying as it pressed forward. Finally, Lin Xian once again relied on these two divine abilities to reach the 30th level. He had mastered it. Lin Xian continued to head towards the 40th level. When he stood on the 40th level, he smiled. He had completely mastered these two divine abilities. Next, he would continue to break through. This time, he had advanced by a realm. Presumably, his ranking would also increase greatly. His target was the 50th level. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.